Hello, my friend. Before we begin tonight's story, I'd love for you to share with me in the comments. Tell me, who is listening tonight? Where are you from? And what time is it as you rest and prepare for sleep? I'd love to know, because though you are far away, we are here together in this moment. And while you're here, please remember to like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone you care about. It helps others discover these stories, and it helps you stay connected to new journeys we'll share together. Now let's begin. Close your eyes, take a slow, gentle breath, and let yourself drift into another time, another place. It is the summer of 1627. You awaken in Iceland on the island of Heimaey, where the midnight sun lingers on the horizon, painting the sky in soft gold. The air smells faintly of salt and fish, and the cries of seabirds echo across the cliffs. You rise within your turf house, its stone walls thick and warm, its roof crowned with wild summer flowers. The air is cool and carries the faint scent of earth and smoke from the ever-burning hearth. This is your home, a place both humble and strong, where your family gathers together against the long, dark winters. Tonight, though, the summer light glows brightly, and the world feels alive with calm. It is here, in this small corner of the world, that your story begins. The soft light of morning filters through the small window, little more than a stretched membrane of cow's stomach, but enough to make the room glow. You rise from your straw-filled bed, wrapped in woolen blankets that your mother wove by hand. The air is cool, carrying the gentle smell of smoke and damp earth. Around you, your family begins to stir. Your father, John Igleson, sits upright, his voice warm and steady as he greets the day. He is a Lutheran minister, a man respected among the islanders, his hands both strong and gentle. Your mother, Asta, moves quietly, tending the hearth fire and preparing breakfast, skyr, thick and tangy, a food your people have eaten for centuries. She smiles at you with tired but loving eyes, her belly round with the child soon to come. Your younger siblings chatter softly, half asleep, half playful. You help them into their clothes, smoothing their hair, listening as your father says the sea looks calm today. A good day for fishing, he adds with a hopeful nod. The rhythm of daily life unfolds, steady, simple, and beautiful in its own way. You gather at the low wooden table, the scent of skyr and dark rye bread filling the air. The bread, rugbrau, has been baked slowly in the hot earth near steaming springs, its crust dense, its taste rich with the land itself. Together, you bow your heads as your father prays over the meal, his voice calm and full of faith. The little ones fidget but follow along, their small hands folded. Your mother places food before you, smiling gently as she smooths her apron over her round belly. Outside, you hear gulls calling and the faint splash of waves against the rocky shore. For a while, everything feels safe, even eternal. Yet as the meal goes on, your father's voice drops to a quiet tone. He speaks of news carried by a Danish merchant ship that visited only days ago. Pirates, he says softly, raiding towns far to the south, taking men, women, and children into slavery. Your mother's brow furrows, her hand moving instinctively to her belly. Surely they would never come here, she whispers. Your father nods, but in his eyes rests a shadow you have not seen before. After breakfast, the summer air welcomes you with freshness and light. You step outside, the turf walls of the house behind you, and the green hills rolling away toward volcanic slopes. Sheep graze peacefully, their wool thick, their bleating carried by the wind. Ahead lies the small village of Heimaey, only 500 souls, houses clustered close to the harbor. Fishing boats bob gently, and the Danish trading post rises above the rest, a large wooden building that feels both foreign and powerful. For generations, Denmark has ruled this land, dictating trade, setting unfair prices. Your people endure, bound by resilience and faith. Today, men gather stones and earth, building a rampart around the trading post. Danish soldiers, metal armor gleaming in the sunlight, watch over the work. Their presence feels both strange and unsettling. Your father calls you to follow, reminding you of the task ahead. Today, you will climb the cliffs with him to gather seabird eggs. Dangerous work, but necessary. Your mother presses a basket into your hands, her voice soft but firm. Be careful, she says. Return before evening prayers. The path winds toward the eastern cliffs, where the land meets the endless sea. The air grows salty and sharp, seabirds circling above, puffins with their bright beaks darting through the sky. Your father walks beside you, steady and sure, telling stories of the island's past. He speaks of the Westman Islands, named for Irish slaves who once fled here long ago, only to be slain by Norsemen. A bloody history beneath the peaceful grass. When you reach the cliff edge, the waves crash far below, and the ropes are made ready. Your father ties one around your waist, his eyes steady on yours. Remember, he says, test each hold before you trust it. With trembling hands, you begin your descent. The rock face is rough, the sea roaring beneath you, but the nests are close. Carefully, you reach for the speckled eggs, sliding them gently into your basket as angry birds shriek and flap their wings. The work is terrifying, yet you are no stranger to it. This is life here, dangerous but vital. By midday, your basket is full, and your father pulls you back to safety. You rest on the grassy slope, eating dried fish and drinking cool water from a flask. The sun lingers high, the air clear, the sea stretching endlessly to the horizon. Then, your father's gaze narrows. He raises a hand to shield his eyes. There, far away, a sail. You follow his sight, squinting. Is it Danish? You ask. He shakes his head. No, the shape is wrong. His voice is careful, quiet, uneasy. You finish your meal quickly, the joy of your morning replaced by a subtle knot of worry. As you make your way back toward the village, more sails appear. Not one ship, but 3. A sight uncommon in these waters. By the time you return, word has already spread. The Danish merchants call the people to the trading post, urging them behind the half-built rampart. Fear lingers in every face. Some clutch children, others carry meager valuables. An old woman whispers that they are pirates, come to steal away the islanders. Your mother holds your siblings close, and your father's eyes remain fixed on the sea. The village gathers close to the Danish trading post. The rampart of stone and earth stands half-finished, little more than a symbol against fear. A few soldiers, breastplates glinting in the sunlight, grip their weapons though their faces betray unease. Mothers hush crying children, fathers stand watchful, and elders murmur prayers beneath their breath. From the harbor, the 3 strange ships remain anchored offshore, unmoving, silent watchers. Hours pass, the summer sun circling but never sinking, leaving the island bathed in an endless twilight glow. Whispers travel through the crowd. Could they be royal ships, perhaps here to protect Iceland from the very pirates feared in distant lands? At last, the Danish factor steps forward, declaring with confidence that these are surely friendly vessels, a defensive force sent by the king himself. Relief sweeps over the people like a soft wind. Slowly, families begin to drift back toward their homes. Your father's hand rests heavy on your shoulder. His words are calm, but his eyes betray the same unease you felt on the cliffs. Tonight, he says, we will sleep ready to move. Back in the turf house, the hearth crackles gently, the air thick with smoke and warmth. Supper is simple, bread, skyr, a little dried fish, but it tastes heavier tonight, weighed down by worry. Your father reads from the Bible as always, his voice steady though softer than usual. The words of the psalm echo through the room. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. You hold on to them like a rope in stormy seas. The younger children, too innocent to grasp the tension, drift into sleep, their breaths soft and steady. Your mother murmurs prayers as she folds clothing and sets aside food, preparing in case of flight. You lie on your straw bed, eyes wide open, listening to the whisper of waves against the shore, the creak of the house in the summer breeze. Outside, the ships wait like shadows against the horizon, unmoving, patient. The island itself seems to hold its breath. At last, exhaustion pulls you into a shallow, uneasy sleep. Morning comes bright and clear, sunlight spilling into the one small window. Your mother hums an old hymn as she kneads bread, her swollen belly shifting with the child inside. The sounds of the village stir through the air, footsteps, chatter, the call of gulls. For a moment, the fear of yesterday feels distant. The ships remain anchored, but they make no move toward shore. Life begins again. Women gather at the Danish storehouse to trade wool and dried fish. Fishermen check their boats, and children play by the grassy paths. Your father has gone to see his parishioners, promising to return soon with news. You dress your siblings, brushing hair, fastening cloaks. The little one clings to your side, sensing some unease, though too small to understand. Through the window, you glimpse the harbor and feel the weight of questions unspoken. Why do the ships linger? What do they wait for? Still, the day stretches golden before you, fragile but calm. Then, a cry rises from the harbor. You rush to the door, heart pounding. Villagers point toward the sea, not at the great ships anchored offshore, but at smaller boats breaking away from them. 3 large rowboats, cutting across the water. Yet they do not head for the harbor. Instead, they steer toward a rocky southern shore, a place called Reningjitangi, Robber's Point, though until now the name has been little more than legend. Your mother steps beside you, shading her eyes against the sun. "Boats?" she whispers, fear trembling in her voice. Before you can move, your father appears, breathless, his face pale. "Pirates," he gasps. "Barbary corsairs. They are coming." His words cut the air like ice. "Hurry, we must hide." At once, your home becomes a storm of motion. Cloaks are gathered, food bundled, coins and the Bible taken up. Your mother's hands shake as she holds her belly, but her voice is steady. Quickly, she says. "The caves." The village erupts in chaos. People scatter in every direction, some rushing to the hills, others to small boats pulled onto the shore. Children cry, sheep bleat in confusion, and voices rise in panicked shouts. The Danish merchants close their heavy gates, retreating behind their rampart, leaving the islanders to fend for themselves. Your father takes your toddler brother into his arms and supports your mother as she stumbles on the path. You grasp your sister's small hand, pulling her forward. The way to the caves winds steep and narrow, but you climb with all your strength. Around you, families rush the same way, clutching bundles, dragging children. The sound of oars striking water carries on the wind. The pirates are near. From the ridge, you glance back and see them leaping from their boats, curved swords flashing, wild cries rising into the air. They spread like hunters, swift and merciless. "Don't look back," your father urges, his voice low but firm. "Keep moving." At last, the caves loom ahead, dark mouths carved into the rock. Some families vanish into their shadows, voices hushed, children pressed silent. You push forward with your siblings, clutching the toddler tightly, heart pounding. But shouts ring out behind you. Pirates climb the path, faster than your family can flee. Your father presses the child into your arms. "Take them into the cave," he orders. "We will follow." You hesitate, torn by fear, but there is no time to argue. With tears burning, you rush forward, guiding your siblings into the safety of shadow. From the cave's mouth, you look back. Your father stands in front of your mother, hands raised in surrender, voice calm even as pirates surround him. He speaks words you cannot hear, perhaps Danish, perhaps prayer. They strike him with the butt of a spear, sending him sprawling. Your mother cries out, but she too is seized, bound with cruel ropes. Together they are dragged down the path, disappearing toward the village. Your throat tightens, but a neighbor pulls you deeper into the darkness. "Hush," she whispers. "If they hear us, they will find us all." The cave is damp, cool, and utterly still. You hold your siblings close, one arm wrapped around each, the toddler nestled against your chest. Your sister whimpers, but you press your hand gently over her mouth, tears streaming silently down your own face. Around you, others wait in tense silence. Margaret, the fisherman's wife, a few frightened children, 2 elders with eyes wide and hollow. From outside, sounds drift in, shouts, screams, and the crash of doors as houses are broken into. Once, heavy footsteps pass so close you hold your breath until your chest aches. Other caves are found, voices rising in terror as people are dragged into the light. Hours slip by, though each feels endless. Finally, the sounds of pillage grow distant, replaced by a heavy silence that presses like weight. From the entrance, the world beyond glows faintly with the light of evening. You dare not move, clinging to your siblings in the stillness, praying for strength. When darkness deepens into the strange twilight of Icelandic summer, Margaret creeps to the cave mouth, peering cautiously. Her face pales. "They are gathering people," she whispers. "Taking them to the ships." Your chest tightens as you realize your parents are among them. Hours pass again, then suddenly a terrible light blooms. Across the hillside, the church, your father's church, bursts into flame. Fire roars upward, sparks flying into the night sky. The steeple collapses with a crash that echoes across the island. From your hiding place, the sight sears your heart. "They are destroying everything," you whisper. Margaret's voice is steady but grim. "Not everything. They take what they value most, our people." You press your forehead against the stone, the weight of loss pressing heavier than the night itself. Morning comes again, pale and blue, though the sun never fully left. You sit at the cave mouth, weary, eyes fixed on the harbor. The pirate ships remain, boats moving between shore and deck, laden with captives and plunder. Your siblings stir awake, faces streaked with tears and dirt. The toddler clings to you, his small body trembling. At last, the ships raise their sails, moving slowly from the harbor into the open sea. They vanish beyond the horizon, leaving silence in their wake. Margaret nods grimly. "It is time," she says. The survivors creep from hiding, blinking against the morning light. The village lies in ruin. Homes are broken, doors shattered, belongings scattered like leaves after a storm. The church smolders, only blackened beams remaining. The Danish storehouse stands untouched, its gates closed, its merchants long gone. The island feels hollow, emptied of life. Survivors gather in the village square, their faces pale, eyes wide with shock. Voices call out names: fathers, mothers, children, answered only by silence. An old man sits amid the ashes of his home, sobbing openly. A woman cradles the lifeless body of her husband, one of the few who resisted and was cut down. For fishermen, hidden during the raid, return with heavy steps. They saw everything, they say. The pirates split into groups, some plundering houses, others storming the trading post. The Danish merchants fled at the first sight of danger. More than 200 islanders have been taken, men, women, children. 30 more lie dead. A hush falls. 200 souls, stolen. The number feels larger than the island itself. You clutch your siblings, your heart aching as the truth settles. Your parents are gone, carried across the sea into darkness. In the days that follow, the island is quiet, heavy with grief. Survivors move through the wreckage, gathering what little remains. Food is salvaged, nets repaired, sheep rounded up. Families huddle together for comfort, clinging to one another like driftwood in a storm. You and your siblings move into Margaret's turf house, her husband among the taken, her hearth cold with absence. Together, you form a new family of necessity, each giving what strength they can. At night, the silence of missing voices presses like a weight. You tell your siblings stories before sleep, tales your father once told, your mother's songs whispered softly in the dark. You hope to keep their memory alive, even as the fear of never seeing them again haunts your dreams. 2 weeks later, sails appear on the horizon once more. Panic rises at first, but relief follows. This is a Danish ship, soldiers aboard, bringing supplies. They listen to the accounts, writing everything into a leather-bound book. The captain promises word will be sent to Copenhagen. The king, he says, will not abandon his subjects. Perhaps ransoms will be arranged. But few believe him. After the merchants' cowardice, trust is thin. Still, their presence brings a measure of hope. Food is shared, plans are made. Survivors dream quietly of seeing loved ones returned, though deep down many know such hopes may never come true. That night, you sit on the cliff edge with your siblings, the sea stretching endlessly before you. Waves lap gently below, glowing silver in the light of the never-setting sun. Your brother's voice is soft. "Do you think they're still alive?" "Yes." You answer with all the certainty you can summon. "Yes." "Father is clever, strong. He will protect mother." Your sister tilts her head. "Where are they going?" You pause, searching for words gentle enough not to wound. "To a land far away," you say at last. "A place called Algiers, across the sea in Africa. It is hot there, very different from Iceland. The little one leans against you, small and warm. Will they come home? She whispers. You stroke her hair. I hope so, you breathe. I pray so. What you cannot know as you sit beneath the endless sky is that your father is already planning. On the pirate ship, deep within its dark and crowded hold, he cradles your mother's hand. Labor has begun, the child coming early, brought on by terror and hardship. Around them, captives whisper prayers, while above, the captain plots a course southward. In the days to come, your father's determination will drive him across seas and lands into legend itself. But here, on the cliffs of Jaime, you know only the weight of absence. The island is wounded, its people broken but breathing. Slowly, painfully, life begins to stitch itself back together. You return with your siblings to Margaret's home, carrying the burden of new responsibilities. The nights stretch long, but you endure, whispering stories, weaving hope. The sea is vast, but somewhere beyond its horizon, your parents live. And though the wound is deep, a thread of faith remains. Weeks pass, then months. At last, word comes from Copenhagen. A letter is read aloud by the Danish captain, his voice echoing in the half-rebuilt church. The king grieves with Iceland, it says. Envoys have been sent to Algiers, with silver for ransom. Patience is urged. Faith is demanded. For some, hope flares anew. For others, the words feel like smoke, thin and insubstantial, dissolving into the cold air. You clutch your siblings tightly, whispering the letter's promise as though it were certain. Yet in your heart, you know that oceans are wide, kings are distant, and lives can vanish like mist. Still, you choose to believe, for without belief, despair would consume you whole. Far away, on the pirate ship bound for Algiers, your mother's cries ring out over the crash of waves. Surrounded by captives, she brings forth a child in pain and trembling courage. A son, born upon the salt-stained planks of the galley. Your father wraps him in a strip of cloth torn from his own shirt, whispering prayers through tears. The newborn's first breath mingles with the stink of tar, sweat, and blood. Yet in that fragile life, hope shines like a lantern in the storm. They name him Hans, a name that carries the strength of their lineage, a promise that even in bondage, life will not be extinguished. The city of Algiers rises white and brilliant from the sea, its walls glittering in the Mediterranean sun. The captives are herded ashore, their eyes stung by heat and brightness after the gray skies of the north. The streets echo with foreign voices, strange scents of spice and smoke filling the air. Some are sold at once in the slave markets, hands inspected, teeth pried open like livestock. Others are taken to prisons, dark and crowded. Your father stays close to your mother and newborn brother, shielding them as best he can. The promise of ransom still lingers, whispered among the Icelanders, though few know if silver will ever truly come. Days become weeks, weeks bleed into months. Your parents endure the harsh rhythm of slavery. Your father labors under the burning sun, carrying stones, hauling water, always returning weary yet alive. Your mother tends to the baby, her body frail but her spirit fierce, singing the hymns of Iceland to soothe him. The captives cling together, a small community in exile, their language a secret thread binding them in a foreign land. At night, your father whispers stories of home, painting pictures of Jaime's green slopes and cool seas. Though chains weigh on his body, in dreams he roams free upon the cliffs once more. Back on Jaime, autumn winds whip across the island. You and your siblings gather driftwood for the fire, your hands raw from cold. Margaret, ever steadfast, teaches you to mend nets and bake bread, her patience a steady flame. Yet grief never loosens its grip. At night, when the wind howls, you hear your mother's voice in its echoes, her lullabies woven into the storm. Your sister dreams of the sea, waking often in tears. You hold her close, whispering of one day's reunion, though in your heart the distance feels unbridgeable. Memory is heavy, but you carry it like a stone in your pocket, painful, yet grounding. Snow blankets the earth, sealing the island in silence. Days are short, nights endless. The survivors huddle together in smoke-dark houses, trading food, sharing warmth. Hunger gnaws, but worse than hunger is the emptiness of missing voices. The absence of fathers at the fishing grounds, of mothers at the hearth, of children's laughter in the lanes. The wound of the raid festers, not only in bodies but in souls. Still, you rise each day, guiding your siblings through the darkness, telling them stories, reminding them that even in the longest night, dawn will come. In spring, new word arrives from Copenhagen. The king has sent silver, a ransom for the lost. Envoys sail to Algiers, carrying hopes across seas. On the island, hearts stir once more. Families whisper of loved ones returning, of ships bearing them home. You clutch this hope tightly, sharing it with your siblings as though it were already true. Yet in secret, elders shake their heads. Many doubt the pirates will release their captives so easily. But for now, the dream is enough. It carries you through the days, fueling each step with fragile light. The ransom arrives, but not all captives are freed. Negotiations drag, silver changing hands slowly, unevenly. Some Icelanders are released, their faces gaunt but eyes alight with relief. Others remain bound, their value too high, their masters too greedy. Your father is among those left behind. He watches others depart with heavy longing, but holds fast to faith. He comforts your mother, cradles the baby, and tells her again and again, "Our turn will come." In his heart, he wonders how long they can endure. Still, he sings psalms softly in the night, keeping despair at bay one verse at a time. On Jaime, a ship arrives carrying a handful of freed captives. Families rush to the harbor, tears flowing as loved ones stagger ashore. Names are shouted, embraces fierce. Yet many wait in vain, scanning the faces only to find emptiness. Your parents are not among them. The joy of reunion for some only deepens your ache. You and your siblings cling together, watching, waiting, whispering prayers that one day, you too will stand at the water's edge to welcome them home. Years stretch onward. You grow taller, your voice deepens, your shoulders broaden under the weight of duty. Your siblings look to you for guidance, and you step into the role once held by your father. Margaret grows older, her hair silvering, her strength waning, yet her wisdom remains your anchor. Together you rebuild nets, repair boats, plant small gardens. Life creeps back into rhythm, though always shadowed by absence. The raid becomes story, then memory, then scar. But you never forget. Every night, before sleep, you whisper a prayer for your parents and for the brother you have never met, born in bondage across the sea. In Algiers, your father hears rumors among the slaves. Some have fled, risking all for freedom. A few succeeded, reaching European ships and finding their way home. The stories kindle a dangerous spark within him. Each day he studies the guards, the routines, the harbor. Each night he plans in silence, holding your mother's hand, their newborn son nestled between them. Freedom feels impossible, yet the thought grows like fire. He dreams not only of escape, but of return, to you, to Iceland, to the life torn away. His faith becomes a shield, his hope a weapon. But freedom comes at a cost. Your mother grows ill in the heat, her body weakened by labor and want. The baby, though small, clings stubbornly to life. Your father faces a cruel truth. To attempt escape with them both may doom them all. To remain is safer, yet captivity is a slow death of spirit. He prays for guidance, torn between duty and desire. Each choice feels like betrayal, of freedom, of family, of faith itself. Still, he endures, waiting for a sign, a moment when fate may shift. Back in Iceland, the seasons turn endlessly. Winters of hunger, summers of toil, springs of hope, autumns of grief. You measure time not by years but by prayers whispered at the cliff's edge, eyes searching the horizon. Your siblings grow beside you, your sister into a young woman, your brother into a sturdy boy. Together you carve a life from the rough stone of survival. Yet always you wait. Hope fades, then flickers again, like a flame caught in the wind. In Algiers, years pass as well. Your father's body grows leaner, hardened by labor, but his spirit does not break. He becomes known among the captives as one who comforts, who prays, who keeps faith alive. His chains do not silence him. Instead, they sharpen his resolve. He whispers to your mother, "If silver does not buy our freedom, then courage will." One day, he swears he will stand upon Iceland's shores again. The miracle comes: letters. Through merchants and missionaries, scraps of news travel between Iceland and Algiers. Families learn of loved ones still alive, though bound in captivity. You hear, at last, that your parents live, that a brother was born at sea. Your heart swells with both joy and sorrow. They are alive, yet still so far. You hold the letter close, its ink faded, its words trembling with hope. It is a fragile thread, but it binds you across the sea, across years, across despair. Your brother Hans grows in Algiers, a child of two worlds. He learns to walk upon sun-baked stones, to speak words in tongues strange to northern ears. Yet your father teaches him Icelandic hymns, your mother whispers lullabies of home. They tell him of Jaime, of cliffs and birds, of the sea that stretches endlessly. Though he has never seen it, the island lives within him, a dream waiting to take shape. At night, your father dreams of standing once more in his church, of lifting his voice in prayer among his flock. He dreams of your mother walking freely across the meadow, her hair lifted by the cold northern wind. He dreams of holding you and your siblings, of meeting the sun born at sea upon Iceland's soil. These dreams fuel him, giving strength when work breaks his body, when heat scorches his skin, when despair hovers near. Dreams, he says, are the seeds of miracles. On Jaime, the years of grief give way to endurance. New children are born, marriages woven, houses rebuilt. The raid becomes a tale told to warn, to remember. Yet the pain does not vanish. Every family bears scars, empty chairs, missing names. You grow into adulthood with the story etched in your very bones. To live is to remember. To remember is to honor. Once more, word comes from Copenhagen. Another ransom mission is underway, larger than before. More silver, more determination. The island stirs with cautious hope. Perhaps this time, more will return. Perhaps your parents. Perhaps your brother. You whisper the news to your siblings, and for the first time in many years, you see a light in their eyes that is not only memory, but expectation. Across the sea, in Algiers, your father also hears of the new ransom. He lifts his face to the sky, tears shining in his weary eyes. Perhaps, at last, deliverance draws near. He takes your mother's hand, holds their son close, and whispers a psalm of gratitude. No chains can bind hope forever. Faith, though tested, endures. And somewhere, across the ocean, you kneel by your straw bed, praying the same words. Two shores, one family, bound by love, waiting for the miracle of reunion. In Algiers, the ransom mission reaches its peak. Chests of silver gleam beneath the blazing sun as envoys negotiate with stern-faced captors. Some Icelanders are freed, stepping weakly into the light, their eyes hollow from years of toil. Hope swells among the prisoners. Your father counts each release, his heart pounding with every name called. Yet again, the masters are shrewd. They demand higher sums, bargaining like merchants in a market of souls. Days pass in tense waiting. At last, word comes, his name is not among the freed. He clasps your mother's trembling hands, whispering steady words though his own chest aches. "Patience," he says softly. "God's time is not yet." Back on Jaime, the ship bearing freed captives arrives. Families rush to the harbor, waves crashing against the jetty as cries of reunion fill the air. You search desperately among the weary figures, your siblings at your side. But once more, your parents are absent. Your brother Hans, born at sea, is not among them. Relief for others becomes salt in your wound. Still, you welcome the freed, offering food, warmth, and comfort. Their stories are hard to hear, whips, chains, endless toil, but each word is treasure, proof that your parents still live. Years unspool like thread. You grow into a man of strength, weathered by toil and sorrow. Your sister becomes skilled in weaving, her hands crafting beauty from wool. Your brother learns the sea, rowing steady and strong beside you. Margaret passes quietly one winter, her wisdom leaving echoes in your heart. You carry her lessons forward, raising your siblings as she once helped raise you. Yet always, the waiting remains. Each ship on the horizon makes your heart leap. Each one that passes leaves it sinking again. In Algiers, your father is no longer only a captive. He becomes a shepherd to the other slaves. His prayers ring in the dark cells, his voice calm when despair swallows others. They call him pastor, though his church is only stone walls and broken bodies. He baptizes children born in captivity, buries the dead with words of blessing, and comforts the sick with psalms. Chains cannot silence him. He is a flame in the night, small but unwavering. Your mother watches him, weary yet proud. Even in bondage, he has not forgotten who he is. Hans grows into a boy, curious and bright. He speaks Icelandic with his parents, Arabic with other children in the market, scraps of Danish from fellow captives. He is a bridge between worlds, yet belongs fully to none. Your father teaches him of Iceland, the cliffs, the sheep, the endless sea, planting roots in soil the child has never touched. At night, Hans dreams of a land of green and snow, though he knows it only through words and songs. On Jaime, your siblings too grow older. Your sister becomes a woman, her hair braided neatly, her eyes reflecting both hope and sorrow. Suitors come, but she hesitates, unwilling to leave behind the family she has left. Your brother, strong and steady, asks often of your parents. His voice carries anger now, anger at the pirates, at the merchants who fled, at the king who waits too long. You calm him with gentle words, though part of you shares his fire. Once again, scraps of news arrive. A Danish envoy delivers letters from Algiers, penned by trembling hands but clear in their love. Your father's words reach you. He speaks of faith, of endurance, of dreams of reunion. He tells of Hans, who grows tall, who sings the hymns of Iceland though he has never seen its shores. You read the letter aloud to your siblings, your voice breaking, your heart swelling with both joy and sorrow. It is proof they live still. Rumors spread in Algiers, more ransoms are coming. Your father dares to hope once more. He prays by night, his voice rising among the captives. But days turn to months, months to years, and still the chains remain. Hope fades, then burns again, a cycle as endless as the tide. Yet he endures, for he has promised himself, he will not die in a foreign land. Decades pass on Jaime. The raid becomes history, told to children who never knew those taken. Yet for you and your siblings, it is no story. It is wound, memory, scar. Each year, you walk to the cliffs and watch the horizon, remembering. The sea that once brought pirates may one day bring your parents home. Until then, you endure. In Algiers, your father's reputation grows. Among the captives, he becomes a leader, guiding, comforting, and teaching. Even some of the locals respect his strength and dignity. He is offered chances to convert, to abandon his faith, to forget his homeland, but he refuses. His faith is his anchor, his promise his guiding star. Your mother, though frail, supports him always, whispering hymns beside him. The years etch lines into your father's face, streaks of gray into his hair. His body weakens, though his spirit remains strong. Your mother grows older too, her strength fading. Hans, now a youth, helps them endure, carrying water, gathering food, standing tall beside his father. Yet time is relentless. Each day in chains steals a little more. Still hope flickers, small but alive. Back home, you become a voice of remembrance. You tell the story of the raid to younger generations, urging them never to forget. You speak of faith, of resilience, of waiting. Some listen with awe, others with sorrow, others with impatience. Yet you continue, for memory is your duty. Through story, your parents live even across oceans. At last, word comes, another ransom has been gathered. This one greater than any before. In Algiers, hope surges anew. The captives whisper, pray, weep. Your father holds your mother's frail hand, tears glistening in his weary eyes. Could this truly be the day? Could freedom be more than dream? He prays with every breath, clinging to the promise that has sustained him through decades. The silver is accepted. Chains are unlocked. For the first time in 36 years, your father steps into the light unbound. He breathes the sea air as though it were life itself. Your mother weeps, her hands trembling. Hans, now grown, looks at the ship that waits to bear them northward. They are free. After so many years, the miracle has come. The ship creaks as it leaves Algiers, its sails swelling with wind. Your father watches the city fade into the horizon, relief and sorrow mingling in his heart. Many friends remain behind, still captive. But he, at last, is going home. He stands at the rail, eyes fixed northward, whispering prayers of gratitude. Your mother leans against him, frail but alive. Hans gazes wide-eyed at the endless sea, dreaming of the land his parents have described all his life. Weeks pass at sea. Storms batter the ship, waves crashing like mountains, but still it presses onward. Your father prays through every gale, his faith unshaken. He holds Hans close, teaching him psalms, pointing to the stars as guides. At last, the air grows colder, the seas rougher, the days shorter. The north draws near. One morning, a cry rings out, "Land ahead." The cliffs of Iceland rise from the sea, gray and green beneath a pale sky. Tears blur your father's vision. He falls to his knees, kissing the deck, whispering thanks. Your mother clings to him, weeping. Hans stares in wonder. At last, the land of his parents, the home he has never seen, lies before him. Word spreads swiftly. A ship has docked bearing freed captives. On Jaime, you hurry to the harbor, your heart racing. Decades have passed, yet hope still burns. You scan the faces of those disembarking, and then you see him. Bent with age, gray-haired, but unmistakable. Your father. At his side, your mother, frail yet smiling through tears. And behind them, a tall young man with your father's eyes, your brother Hans. You run forward, your siblings beside you, tears streaming. Your father clasps you in his arms, holding you as though he will never let go. Your mother embraces you, her hands trembling, her voice whispering your name. Hans smiles shyly, then steps into your arms, and though you have never met, you know him instantly. After 36 years, the family is whole once more. In the years that follow, your father tells the tale of his captivity and return. His words spread across Iceland, carried into history. He becomes a symbol of faith and endurance, proof that even in the darkest chains, hope can endure. You and your siblings, grown now, carry the story forward. The raid, the waiting, the return, it is all etched into your family's soul. And though scars remain, the thread of faith binds you still. The return of your parents spreads like fire across Jaime. Bells ring from the rebuilt church, fishermen leave their nets to come and see, children run barefoot over the grass, shouting the news. People weep openly, for few ever believed such a thing possible. After 36 years, John Iglisson and Asta are home. The island gathers in prayer that evening, candles flickering against the dark summer sky. Your father speaks to the people, his voice unsteady yet strong. He tells them of survival, of God's mercy, of hope that should never be abandoned. Every word sinks deep, for he has lived what few could imagine. Hans, tall now and lean, walks through the village like one caught between two worlds. Islanders stare at him with curiosity. He speaks Icelandic, but with strange tones, and his clothes are unfamiliar. Children whisper, pointing at him, calling him the boy of the sea. He smiles shyly, keeping close to his parents. You introduce him to your siblings, and though he has never seen your island, his laughter carries a rhythm that feels like family. That night, you sit together, telling him stories of the cliffs, the sheep, the puffins. He listens wide-eyed, drinking in every word as if they were water after thirst. Your old turf house lies long abandoned, its walls sagging, its roof covered with weeds. Together, your family rebuilds it. Neighbors come to help, laying stone upon stone, cutting sod, shaping beams. Work songs rise into the air, voices mingling with the cries of seabirds. Your father, though aged, places his hands firmly upon the stones, whispering prayers with each one. At last, the house stands whole again. That evening, you share a meal inside, the hearth glowing, the smell of rye bread filling the air. It feels like a beginning, though time has stolen much. Long winter nights return, and with them the rhythm of story. Your father sits by the hearth, children gathered at his feet, neighbors filling the room. He tells of the long captivity, of chains and markets, of prayers whispered in dark cells. He does not linger on the cruelties. He speaks instead of endurance, of faith, of the promise of return. His voice is calm, steady, like the sea after a storm. The children listen wide-eyed, and adults bow their heads, some weeping silently. In his words, grief and hope are woven together, a fabric strong enough to clothe the island for generations. Though home again, your father carries the mark of years in bondage. His step is slower, his body bent, yet his eyes remain alight with purpose. He walks often to the cliffs, gazing out at the sea, whispering prayers for those who never returned. Your mother, frail and gentle, spends her days by the hearth, humming hymns, weaving wool, watching Hans with tender eyes. She seems to live in two worlds now, half in the present, half in the memory of chains. Yet her smile still holds warmth, especially when her children gather close. Hans struggles to find his place. He is Icelandic by birth, but his childhood belonged to Algiers. He knows the prayers of the church, but also the songs of the market. Some villagers look at him with suspicion, others with pity. Yet he learns quickly, mending nets, rowing boats, climbing cliffs for eggs. At night, he sits beside you, asking endless questions about the island's ways. Slowly he becomes part of Jaime's rhythm, though his heart carries the echo of another shore. Your father writes down his story, page after page, by candlelight. He wants the world to know what happened, that pirates came, that hundreds were taken, that faith endured. His hand trembles, but his words are clear, shaped by fire and sorrow. You sit with him often, helping with ink, holding the lamp steady. He tells you that memory is a duty, not just for yourself but for those who cannot speak anymore. These words, he says, must outlive us. The Church of Landakirkja rises again from the ashes, stronger than before. Stones are laid with care, wood beams shaped by steady hands. On the day it is consecrated, the entire island gathers. Your father, robes worn but clean, stands before the altar. His voice trembles as he prays, thanking God for return, for endurance, for the mercy that carried him home. Hymns rise, filling the rafters, spilling out into the sky. Even Hans, unfamiliar with the melodies, joins in, his voice weaving with the rest. For a moment, the island feels whole again. Years flow gently, each marked by the turning of sheep on the hills, the migrations of birds, the long winters of darkness, the endless summers of light. Your family finds rhythm again, though the scars never fade. Some evenings, your father falls silent, his eyes distant, his lips moving in prayers too quiet to hear. Your mother's health wanes, her steps slower, her hair silvered, but she smiles when the children laugh. Hans grows strong, his shoulders broad, his voice deep, carrying nets and rowing boats with practiced strength. Time carries you forward, yet always you feel the weight of the past at your side. At last, the years catch your father fully. His hands, once steady, shake as he holds the Bible. His voice, once strong, softens to a whisper. Yet when he speaks, the room still falls silent, every word carrying the weight of truth. One night, gathered by the hearth, he tells you, chains can hold the body, but never the soul. Remember this. Days later, he lies upon his bed, your mother at his side, his children gathered close. His final prayer rises softly, fading into silence like a candle's last glow. When he is gone, the island mourns, not only a man, but a legend. His story becomes your story, and through you, the story will never die. When your father is laid to rest, the island falls into silence. The bells toll slowly, their echoes carrying across the sea. Neighbors gather, filling the church he once rebuilt with trembling hands. Hymns rise softly, voices breaking with grief, yet bound with gratitude. His grave overlooks the sea, the same sea that once carried him away and, decades later, brought him home. You stand there long after the others have gone, listening to the waves whispering against the shore. It feels as if the ocean itself is speaking, carrying his spirit into eternity. Your mother lingers only a short while after him. She grows more fragile with each day, her body weary, her spirit already halfway beyond. Yet she continues to hum her hymns, soft melodies that drift through the house like threads of memory. One evening, as the fire burns low, she sings her last song. Her voice fades gently, her hand resting in yours. She closes her eyes, a faint smile on her lips, and slips away. The house falls silent, but the echoes of her song remain, lingering in your heart. With both parents gone, the responsibility of memory falls to you and your siblings. You tell their story again and again, to children, to travelers, to neighbors who still ask. Hans too learns to tell it, his Icelandic steady now, his voice carrying both sorrow and pride. The people listen, and through your words, the past remains alive. You realize that this story is no longer just yours, it belongs to all of Iceland, a reminder of resilience, faith, and hope. Hans finds his place at last. He rows with the fishermen, climbs the cliffs, tends the sheep. Though some still whisper about his years in Algiers, most come to see him as one of their own. His laughter fills the house, his strength lightens the work, and his heart is tied to the land his parents dreamed of for him. He is proof that even from exile, life can take root again. The boy of two lands becomes a man of Iceland, carrying both worlds within him. The years unfold, season by season, like a slow-turning wheel. Children are born, elders pass, the island endures. You watch your siblings marry, their families growing, their laughter echoing through the fields. New turf houses rise, fishing boats are built, the church bells ring across the generations. Yet always, the memory of that summer in 1627 lingers. It is not just a wound, it is a thread woven into the island's fabric, shaping who you are. Your father's writings are copied and spread across Iceland. His story, written in his own trembling hand, becomes a treasure, carried from farm to farm, town to town. Scholars preserve it, priests preach it, families read it by candlelight. His voice travels farther than he ever dreamed, teaching those who never knew him. In the quiet of night, you open the pages, hearing his voice as if he were still beside you. The ink keeps him alive, his endurance echoing through time. On the cliffs above Jaime, where the sea crashes endlessly below, you build a small cairn of stones. Each year, you return to it, placing another rock, whispering a prayer for your parents. Over time, the cairn grows, a quiet monument against the sky. Travelers who pass ask about it, and you tell the story again. Some weep, some nod in silence, some carry the tale onward. The stones remain, weathered by wind and rain, yet standing, like the memory they guard. Winter nights return, long and dark. Children gather around the fire, eyes wide, waiting. You tell them the story of pirates and chains, of faith and return. You speak slowly, gently, letting the words sink deep. Some children drift to sleep as you speak, their breathing soft, their dreams filled with the sea and stars. Others stay awake, listening with awe. The story becomes lullaby, warning, and promise all at once. In their dreams, your parents live on, guiding another generation. You grow old. Your hair turns silver, your steps slower, your hands lined with work. Yet you do not fear time. You carry within you the strength of your parents, the endurance of their faith. Each day feels like gift, each season a reminder of what was survived. When you walk to the cliffs, you see not only the sea, but the faces of those who waited, those who endured, those who returned. You are not alone. The past walks with you, steady and calm. At last, your own time nears. You lie by the hearth, your children and grandchildren gathered close. Their faces blur in the firelight, but their voices are warm, their hands steady in yours. You whisper the story one final time, not of sorrow, but of endurance, of faith that crossed oceans, of love that waited through decades. As your eyes close, the firelight fades into dream. But the story does not end with you. It lives on, carried by voices, by pages, by the endless sea. And in the quiet night, as sleep enfolds you, the tale becomes a lullaby, eternal, gentle, unbroken. Life continues on Jaime. The sea sparkles under the summer sun, gulls wheel overhead, and the cliffs stand steady as ever. Children play among the rocks, laughing with innocence. You, now older, walk with Hans and your siblings, teaching them to fish, to tend sheep, to read the Bible by the fire. Though the past never fully leaves, life grows gentle again. Villagers smile more freely, though some still pause when the sea glints too sharply, memories of the pirate raid lingering. You gather the children by the hearth each night. Slowly, deliberately, you recount the tales of 1627, the raid, the captives, your parents' courage. You speak softly, letting the words settle like snow on the cliffs outside. Each story becomes a thread in the fabric of their dreams. Some children drift to sleep mid-story, others cling to every word, eyes wide in wonder. You watch them quietly, realizing that these tales of endurance, faith, and hope are as vital as bread or shelter. Autumn arrives, crisp and golden. You climb the cliffs with Hans and your brother, gathering eggs and hunting seabirds. The wind whistles against the rocks, carrying the scent of salt and seaweed. Your sister tends sheep below, calling out instructions to younger children. Work is slow and steady, a rhythm that keeps the island alive. The sea stretches endlessly beyond the horizon, a reminder of journeys taken and those still to come. Every egg, every fish, every stitch of wool is a triumph of survival. Evenings come quietly now. You sit by the hearth, reflecting on all that has passed. Your parents, their suffering, their miraculous return, it all feels like a dream. Yet the memory is sharp, etched into your heart. Hans leans against your shoulder, listening to the crackle of firewood. Your little sister hums a hymn your mother once sang. You realize that even in absence, your parents' love has remained a guiding light, steady and unwavering, through decades of hardship. Winter approaches, and the islanders gather stores. Fish are salted, wool carded, sheep brought close to the barns. The long nights will be harsh, but the village moves with quiet efficiency. You and Hans teach the younger children to navigate the cliffs, to recognize bird calls, to measure the wind. Every lesson is a shield against danger, a safeguard against the unpredictability of nature. You pause often, watching the horizon, remembering your parents' journey and the courage it required. A small festival brings the village together. Lanterns hang from the wooden beams of the church, music floats through the streets, and families share bread and fish. Your father's story is told once more, recounted by you and by elders who lived through the raid. Children gather, eyes shining, listening in awe. Hans steps forward to tell a part himself, his voice steady, proud, echoing the legacy of survival. For a moment, Jaime feels completely whole. One winter night, a storm rages over the cliffs. Rain lashes the windows, wind shrieks through the eaves. You sit by the fire with your siblings, recounting once again the day of the pirate attack, slowly, softly. The storm outside mirrors the fear once felt decades ago. You remind the children of courage, of faith, of hope. In the flickering candlelight, faces pale and eyes wide, they learn that storms pass, and that endurance carries them through the darkest nights. Hans grows older and becomes a teacher to the village children. He recounts stories of distant lands, of Algiers, of the sea that carried him there and back. You watch quietly, proud of the man he has become, a bridge between generations. Children ask endless questions, and he answers with patience. His presence is a reminder that survival is not just about returning home, but about nurturing the next generation. Through teaching, he continues your parents' legacy. You spend long mornings on the cliffs, watching the sea. Waves crash with timeless rhythm, puffins dart overhead, and the horizon seems endless. You reflect on the journeys of your parents and on Hans' childhood abroad. The ocean is both friend and foe, bearing them away, yet eventually bringing them home. You feel a quiet gratitude. Every wave, every gull's cry, every seabird's flight becomes a meditation, a reminder that life moves forward, patient and steady. Your sister marries and has children. You watch your family expand with quiet joy. The house is filled with laughter, songs, and the smell of fresh bread. Those scars remain, the rhythm of daily life. The sheep, the fishing, the crafting, grounds everyone. Children learn the stories of the past, of faith and endurance, as part of their upbringing. You smile at them, knowing that life has returned to a steady, gentle rhythm on Jaime. One summer afternoon, you take Hans and your grandchildren to the cliffs. You tell them again of the pirate raid, of chains, of courage. The cliffs rise majestically, the sea stretches endlessly, and the wind carries your words far. Children listen in awe, imagining the terror, yet also the triumph. The rocks beneath your feet are worn smooth by generations, each one carrying the memory of survival. You feel the pulse of history beneath your hands. Nights by the hearth grow longer and quieter. You recount stories slowly, letting each word settle. Children fall asleep one by one, their breathing soft and steady. The flickering fire illuminates your face, reflecting the calm of years well lived. You whisper prayers for the ancestors, for the generations that will follow, for the land and the sea. The past lives in memory, but the present is warm and safe. You discover letters from Algiers your father wrote during captivity. You read them aloud to the grandchildren, voice slow and deliberate. Each letter carries hope, endurance, and faith. The children listen, some with wonder, some with quiet tears. They learn that even across oceans, across years, love and courage endure. The words are a bridge to the past, a reminder of the trials that shaped your family and the island itself. Evenings are spent reflecting on the long life you've lived. The raid, captivity, return, rebuilding, all play through your memory like waves upon the cliffs. Hans sits beside you, grandchildren leaning close, listening. You feel both sorrow and gratitude. Though your parents are gone, their legacy pulses in every story, every lesson, every heartbeat of the family. The past and present meet quietly, blending into a steady rhythm. Jaime thrives again. Fishing boats bob in the harbor, sheep graze on the cliffs, children play along the shore. The story of the raid has become legend, woven into the island's identity. Yet life is gentle now, with days measured by tides and seasons rather than fear. You watch the sun set behind the volcanic slopes, thinking of your parents, of Hans' childhood, of the generations who will follow. The island beats with quiet life. You sit with grandchildren on the cliffs, teaching them patience and observation. You point to the waves, the birds, the clouds. Each lesson carries echoes of survival, endurance, and faith. They learn to watch, to wait, to understand the rhythm of the land and sea. You speak softly, letting words drift slowly, like clouds across the sky. Each child absorbs not just knowledge, but the calm confidence that comes from enduring and thriving through hardship. Your extended family gathers for a feast, celebrating the cycles of harvest and sea. Stories are told, hands are held, children run and laugh. You feel the weight of years lift slightly, carried away by warmth and laughter. Though scars remain, the bonds forged by survival are unbreakable. The memory of your parents, of Hans' extraordinary journey, of the raid long ago, lives on in every hug, every shared meal, every prayer whispered at the fire. Winter descends, quiet and still. Snow dusts the cliffs, waves lap more softly against the shore. Nights grow long, fires glow low, and the world seems hushed in slumber. You sit by the hearth, reading from your father's writings, while grandchildren drift into sleep. The stories become lullabies, memories of endurance and hope settling gently over the family, over the island, over the sea. One night, you tell the story in its entirety. The pirate raid, the captivity, the miraculous return, and the years of peace and rebuilding. Your voice is slow, deliberate, each word a brushstroke painting the past vividly yet gently. Children fall asleep as you speak, parents listen with quiet pride, and the flickering firelight dances across walls lined with memories. You realize that the story itself has become a living thing, as eternal as the cliffs and the sea. Years later, as your own time draws near, you lie surrounded by family. The grandchildren, children, and siblings you've guided gather close. You whisper blessings, prayers, and the story once more. Your eyes close, your breath slows, and sleep enfolds you fully. The story continues, through memory, through voices, through the sea and cliffs of Jaime. And so it becomes a lullaby for the island itself, a gentle, enduring rhythm that carries hope, faith, and love into the endless night. Dawn breaks gently over Jaime, the sun spilling golden light across cliffs and pastures. You and Hans rise early, walking the familiar paths to check on the fishing boats. The sea glimmers like glass, puffins dart overhead, and the smell of salt and seaweed fills your lungs. Children still sleep, wrapped in blankets, dreaming of adventures and heroes. You feel a quiet contentment, remembering all that has passed. The island hums with life, the rhythm of tides and seasons marking the passage of time. Each step you take carries memory and hope alike. Hans gathers the younger children for lessons by the cliffs. He teaches them about birds, fishing, and the language of the sea. You sit nearby, weaving wool, watching small hands mimic the motions of casting nets and observing nests. The children are eager and curious, their laughter floating across the air like a gentle song. In their eyes, you see both wonder and the weight of the stories passed down. You realize that teaching is more than knowledge. It is the transmission of resilience, courage, and faith. You walk to the village, the grass soft beneath your feet, the cliffs looming majestically. Islanders move about their daily tasks, carrying fish, tending livestock, repairing homes. People greet you warmly, nodding with recognition. The Danish trading post, long since abandoned after the raid, stands quietly as a relic of the past. Children run along the streets, calling out in playful voices. You feel the heartbeat of the island in these small movements, a rhythm both steady and comforting, echoing the lives of generations before you. Even with peace, memories linger. You sometimes sit by the cliffs, staring at the sea, remembering the pirate raid, your parents' captivity, and the fear that once gripped your heart. Hans joins you silently, understanding without words. Together, you watch waves crash against the rocks, feeling gratitude that life continued, that families were reunited. You whisper a prayer of thanks for endurance and faith. The cliffs, steadfast and eternal, become a sanctuary for memory, a place to reflect, and a reminder that resilience is stronger than fear. Winter approaches once again. The village gathers stores of fish, wool, and dried bread. You and Hans teach the children how to measure the snow, watch for storms, and prepare homes against icy winds. Work is slow and methodical, the rhythm of survival intertwined with the quiet joy of community. Fires burn in the hearths, the scent of baking bread drifts through the air. You pause to watch the sea, grateful for its bounty and patient rhythm. Even in harsh months, life on Jaime continues with careful, deliberate persistence. Autumn yields its treasures. Fish are salted and preserved, wool is spun and dyed, bread baked in the warmth of hidden hearths. The village gathers in a small festival, singing hymns, sharing food, and exchanging stories. Hans tells tales of Algiers and distant lands, mesmerizing the children with adventures and lessons learned. Laughter mingles with the crackle of fires and the whisper of the wind through cliffs. The festival is both celebration and remembrance, honoring survival, courage, and the enduring spirit of the islanders. Evenings grow quiet. You sit by the hearth, speaking softly to Hans and the children. You recount tales of courage and endurance, of your parents' journey, and of the pirate raid that changed everything. Your voice is deliberate, slow, and gentle. Outside, the long Icelandic night stretches, but the warmth of the fire and your words creates a cocoon of safety. Children drift to sleep, their breathing even and calm, dreaming of the sea and cliffs, of families who endured and returned. A storm approaches, dark clouds rolling across the sea. You gather the children inside, closing shutters and securing nets. The wind howls, rattling the roof of the turf house. Inside, the hearth burns steadily, casting a warm glow. You tell stories of storms past, of patience and endurance, allowing the children to understand that fear can be met with courage. The storm rages outside, but inside, calm prevails. Through the storm, lessons are remembered, and the rhythm of life continues undisturbed. After the storm, you walk along the cliffs, observing the waves. Each tide brings lessons, patience, strength, and endurance. Hans follows closely, guiding the children to watch and learn. The sea's endless rhythm becomes a teacher, showing them that life moves forward, that trials pass, and that hope persists. Puffins swoop overhead, gulls cry in the wind, and the smell of salt fills the air. Even in calm, the sea is alive, speaking silently to those who take the time to listen. While cleaning an old chest, you find a letter written by your father during captivity. You read it aloud to Hans and the grandchildren. Each word carries weight, faith, endurance, and love. The children listen intently, eyes wide, absorbing history as a living thing. You feel tears prickle your eyes, remembering your parents' courage. The letter is a bridge across time, connecting past and present. It teaches that even in darkness, hope and love endure. Summer returns, and with it, the familiar tasks of gathering eggs and tending sheep on the cliffs. You and Hans guide the children, showing them every careful step. Waves crash below, puffins dart overhead, and the air is alive with the scent of salt and earth. The work is slow, deliberate, and necessary. Each egg collected, each sheep tended, is a lesson in patience and care. The children laugh and stumble, learning the rhythm of life as generations before them did. Evenings by the hearth are sacred. You recount the story of your parents, the raid, and the long years of waiting. Your voice is soft, measured, and deliberate, letting each word sink into the quiet of the night. Children drift to sleep one by one, their breaths even. The firelight flickers across faces, reflecting awe, curiosity, and comfort. You remind them that stories are not just entertainment, they are guidance, memory, and the pulse of survival passed through generations. One day, a traveler arrives on Jaime, curious about the tales of the Westman Islands. You and Hans welcome them, sharing stories of the raid, your parents' endurance, and life on the cliffs. The traveler listens, eyes wide, captivated by history and survival. Children gather around, eager to ask questions. The visitor leaves with gratitude, taking the story beyond the island. You realize that memory and tale are alive, carried not just through family, but through the world. As winter approaches, the village prepares for long nights. Fires are stocked, food preserved, and tasks shared among families. You and Hans guide the children, teaching them to measure days, predict weather, and understand the rhythm of life on the island. Every lesson is steeped in the memory of endurance, each task a safeguard against hardship. Nights grow longer, but within homes, warmth, story, and faith preserve the heart of Jaime. Winter storms pass, leaving snow-dusted cliffs and calm seas. You and Hans walk along the shore, children trailing behind. The sea glistens, puffins call, and gulls wheel overhead. Life moves forward gently, quietly. You recount lessons learned, patience, courage, and endurance. The children listen, absorbing wisdom like the snow absorbs the morning sun. The past is remembered, the present is lived, and the future feels steady and sure. You tell the story once more, slowly, deliberately, so each child absorbs it. You speak of the pirate raid, your parents' captivity, their return, and the rebuilding of life. The fire flickers, casting soft shadows. Children drift off to sleep mid-story, their dreams filled with cliffs, puffins, and waves. Each telling reinforces memory, courage, and hope. You watch silently, grateful that the legacy of endurance continues in gentle hearts. On a quiet morning, you and Hans take the children to the cliffs. You show them the rhythms of the sea, the careful flight of birds, the ebb of tides. Every movement is a lesson in patience, observation, and respect for nature. The children mimic, stumble, and learn slowly. You realize that patience is itself a form of strength, cultivated through years of hardship and reflection. Every lesson is quiet, deliberate, and enduring. Walking through the village, you notice how much Jaime has healed. Homes are repaired, children play freely, the church stands tall. Yet subtle marks of history remain. Scars on the cliffs, ruins of old hearths, memories in the eyes of elders. You whisper to Hans, every stone, every wave remembers. He nods, understanding that the island itself is alive with memory, carrying the stories, the endurance, and the faith of generations. Your extended family gathers for meals, work, and prayers. Children laugh, elders smile, stories are shared. The bonds forged through hardship remain unbroken. Hans and the children walk the cliffs, collect eggs and fish. You observe quietly, satisfied that the rhythms of life are secure. Though scars exist, life continues, steady and nurturing. The past is honored, and the present thrives. As the sun sets, golden light spills over cliffs and pastures. Waves lap softly against the shore, birds return to nests, and the wind carries gentle whispers. You stand with Hans and the children, feeling the weight of history, the comfort of family, and the rhythm of the sea. The island breathes with life and memory, quiet and enduring. The story continues, carried by generations, sung in lullabies, and whispered in the wind, a gentle, eternal rhythm guiding Jaime into the endless night. The morning mist drifts slowly over Jaime, curling around cliffs and grazing the grass below. You walk along familiar paths with Hans and the children, the air cool and fragrant with salt and damp earth. Each step is deliberate, steady, and mindful, teaching the children the rhythm of the island. Birds call softly, puffins glide through the mist, and waves lap gently against the rocks. The day begins quietly, carrying the sense that life, despite its past hardships, moves forward with calm persistence. Hans gathers the children by the shore, pointing out patterns in the waves and the flight of birds. You sit on a rock nearby, weaving wool and observing. Each movement is slow, careful, a lesson in patience. The children mimic the actions, learning to fish, to recognize nests, to read the signs of the wind. Every word spoken carries weight, every gesture a connection to the island and its history. You remind them gently, the sea teaches both caution and courage, a rhythm that must be respected and understood. From the cliffs, you watch the village below stir to life. Smoke rises from chimneys, children scurry toward shores, and fishermen haul in early catches. Life continues with quiet determination. The Danish trading post remains abandoned, a silent reminder of past fear. Yet the village feels alive, vibrant, and connected. You notice small acts of care, neighbors helping neighbors, children running errands, elders watching over the young. These simple actions are the heartbeat of Jaime, steady and enduring. As the sun dips low, you sit by the hearth, recounting stories of your parents' endurance, the pirate raid, and the journeys that followed. The children sit quietly, mesmerized by the cadence of your voice. Outside, long shadows stretch across the land, the cliffs casting dark reflections over the grass. You speak slowly, letting each word resonate. The tales become more than history, they are lessons in courage, hope, and faith. Every ember in the hearth seems to pulse in time with the stories, a gentle rhythm of life and memory. Snow is expected soon. The village gathers stores of dried fish, wool, and preserved bread. You and Hans guide the children in preparation, stacking food, checking hearths, and reinforcing turf houses. The work is deliberate and rhythmic, teaching responsibility and endurance. Outside, the wind begins to rise, and gulls cry as the sea churns. Inside, the fire burns steadily. Children move slowly, learning through both observation and hands-on participation. Each action is a small lesson, part of the careful choreography of survival. Snow begins to drift down softly, dusting cliffs, rooftops, and fields in quiet white. Children laugh and run outside, catching flakes on their tongues. You watch from the doorway, Hans beside you, feeling gratitude for the peaceful rhythm of the island. The snow blankets the world, creating stillness. Even the waves seem gentler beneath the falling flakes. Stories are shared quietly by the hearth later, tales of pirates and endurance, adventures and courage, allowing warmth to fill hearts as the cold drifts across the land. Night settles gently over Jaime. Stars shimmer faintly above, the long summer darkness replaced by a deep, quiet winter night. You sit with the children by the fire, recounting tales of bravery and hope. Every word is slow, deliberate, meant to soothe and guide them towards sleep. Outside, the sea whispers against the cliffs, the wind hums through the eaves, and the island seems to breathe in rhythm with your storytelling. Sleep comes gently, a temporary refuge from the weight of memory and responsibility. A visitor brings news from the mainland, letters from descendants of those taken by pirates long ago. You read the letters aloud by the fire, voice slow and deliberate. words of reunion, survival, and enduring faith fill the room. The children listen, wide-eyed and silent, absorbing the legacy of courage that runs through generations. Even across oceans and decades, love and hope persist. You pause after each sentence, letting the meaning settle like snow on the cliffs outside. Spring arrives, and with it, the familiar rhythm of gathering eggs from the cliffs. You and Hans guide the children, teaching careful handholds and respect for nesting birds. The air is filled with the scent of salt and grass, puffins darting through the sky. Each egg collected is a lesson in patience and care, each misstep an opportunity to learn. The children laugh and stumble, but the rhythm of work and observation slowly shapes them, embedding lessons of survival and endurance that have carried your family through generations. Evening comes with the soft glow of the hearth. You teach the children hymns your parents once sang, voices low and steady. The rhythm is gentle, soothing, and familiar. Stories of past hardships mingle with song, reinforcing lessons of courage and faith. Outside, the long shadows stretch over cliffs and fields, quieting the island. Children drift to sleep, lulled by voices, stories, and melodies. The night becomes a cocoon of warmth and reflection, carrying hope gently into dreams. Warm summer winds bring the rhythm of fishing. You, Hans, and the children launch small boats from hidden coves, pulling in nets heavy with fish. The sun sparkles on the water, puffins glide overhead, and waves lap rhythmically against the hull. Each movement is careful, deliberate, a lesson in both patience and skill. Children laugh at their successes and stumble over mistakes, learning the delicate balance of work and observation. The sea becomes both teacher and companion, steady and enduring. You walk along the cliffs at dusk, Hans and children beside you. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of grass and sea. Waves crash gently against rocks below, gulls cry softly, and the long shadows stretch across the landscape. You speak slowly, reminding the children of past stories, of endurance, of faith. Each word is measured, meant to sink deeply, carrying both comfort and guidance. The island seems to breathe with you, a living rhythm of memory, care, and continuity. Autumn passes, and winter approaches. You help stack preserved food, reinforce turf walls, and teach the children how to care for sheep in cold months. The village works as one, sharing tasks and lessons. Fires burn in homes, warmth flowing through stories, tasks, and care. The sea churns in distance, a reminder of both bounty and danger. Inside, the hearth glows steadily, children learning through gentle instruction, observation, and experience. The rhythm of life continues, grounded in preparation and mindfulness. A winter storm rages over the cliffs. Snow drifts, wind shrieks through eaves, and waves crash violently against rocks. Inside, you guide the children to sit quietly by the fire, wrapping them in blankets and telling slow, deliberate stories. Each tale reinforces courage, patience, and faith. The storm rages outside, but inside, warmth and calm prevail. The night becomes a lesson in resilience, the hearth and your voice anchoring the children through the wind's howl and the sea's roar. Morning brings calm. Snow blankets the cliffs, the sea laps gently, and the village resumes quiet activity. You and Hans take the children to inspect boats and check supplies. The air is crisp, fresh with winter's breath. Birds call softly, and footprints mark paths in the snow. Each movement is careful, teaching observation and mindfulness. Life continues steadily, lessons passed from one generation to the next, memory and endurance carried gently across the frozen landscape. Night comes and the fire burns low. You tell the story of the pirate raid once more, voice measured and slow. Children sit close, absorbed, eyes wide with understanding and wonder. Each word is deliberate, echoing across the room. The warmth of the fire and rhythm of your storytelling soothe, weaving history, memory, and faith into a gentle lullaby. The night outside is cold and dark, but inside, calm, hope, and legacy thrive. You walk the cliffs at dawn, watching waves crash endlessly, puffins wheel overhead, gulls call softly. Hans follows, teaching children to observe, to read the wind, and to understand the rhythms of the sea. Each movement, each lesson, reinforces patience and resilience. The ocean is both a mirror and a teacher, showing that life is steady yet ever-changing. Children learn to move with care, to respect the world, and to embrace the enduring pulse of nature. A letter arrives from a distant cousin, recalling tales of ancestors taken long ago. You read it aloud, slowly, letting words resonate. Children listen intently, absorbing history, courage, and endurance. The past becomes tangible, a living thread connecting generations. You pause after each sentence, allowing reflection. Through letters and stories, memory continues to shape lives, and lessons learned long ago remain as vital today as they were on the day of the pirate raid. At dusk, the village gathers for prayer. Fires glow softly, and voices rise slowly in hymns. You sit with children close, recounting stories of endurance and faith between verses. Each prayer and word is deliberate, a calm rhythm teaching reflection, courage, and gratitude. The sea whispers beyond the cliffs, a constant companion. Night stretches quietly across Jaime, and the island rests in the gentle assurance of care, community, and memory. The sun sets, spilling gold across cliffs, rooftops, and waves. You stand with Hans and children, feeling the pulse of Jaime beneath your feet. Memories of hardship, endurance, and family blend seamlessly with the rhythm of daily life. Puffins glide overhead, gulls cry softly, and the sea stretches to the horizon. Stories, lessons, and prayers ripple quietly through generations. The island breathes steadily, carrying hope, faith, and love into the long night, a lullaby for both land and hearts alike. Dawn breaks softly over Jaime, painting cliffs and fields in pale gold. You and Hans rise early, the children still nestled under blankets. Mist curls along the coast, and waves lap gently against rocks below. You take a moment to breathe in the scent of salt and damp grass, feeling the quiet rhythm of the island. The children watch puffins glide across the horizon, learning patience and observation. Each morning is a lesson in awareness, the rhythm of nature mirrored in their growing understanding of life. The cliffs await you again, where puffins nest and seabirds call across the wind. You guide the children carefully, showing handholds and steady paths. Each step is deliberate, slow, and considered. The children stumble but learn quickly, their laughter mingling with the cries of gulls. You remind them softly that patience is strength, that the cliffs teach not only survival but mindfulness. The rhythm of descent and ascent is slow, steady, and meditative, grounding them in the enduring pulse of the island. The village hums with activity. Smoke rises from chimneys, nets are mended, and fish are salted in barrels. You walk with children, teaching small tasks, gathering firewood, checking traps, repairing roofs. Every movement is deliberate, every task a lesson in responsibility and care. Adults nod greetings, children laugh as they run errands, and the village breathes as one living organism. Each day, the rhythm of work and observation strengthens bonds, reinforcing endurance, patience, and quiet joy in the mundane. You discover a small, hidden cove along the shore. The tide laps gently against the rocks, and puffins dive in and out of crevices. Hans helps children explore safely, showing them how to read currents and spot safe paths. Every careful step is a lesson in awareness. The cove feels timeless, a private sanctuary where waves whisper and the wind carries stories of ancestors. You pause, letting the children absorb the calm, the rhythm of nature, and the quiet lesson that the island always watches, always guides. Evening arrives, shadows stretching over the cliffs. By the hearth, you recount stories of survival, faith, and endurance. Voice slow and measured, each word allows the children to reflect, to absorb lessons of courage. Outside, the long Icelandic night stretches across the village, wind whispering through the eaves. The warmth of the fire contrasts with the cold, offering comfort and a rhythm of safety. Stories become more than tales. They are guides, shaping hearts and minds in quiet, deliberate ways. As winter draws near, you help stack preserved fish, dry wool, and secure turf houses. Hans guides children in careful observation, teaching them the small signs of weather and survival. Snow may fall soon, winds may howl, but preparation keeps the family safe. The work is slow, rhythmic, and deliberate, a meditation in motion. Each task teaches patience, observation, and responsibility. Inside, the hearth burns steadily, echoing the warmth of memory and enduring care. A cold frost glimmers across the grass, sparkling in the early sunlight. Children run, laughing, their footprints marking paths in delicate frost patterns. You observe from a distance, Hans beside you, feeling gratitude for quiet moments of wonder. The sea reflects the morning light, and puffins wheel above the cliffs. Every sound, every movement, teaches mindfulness and endurance. The children learn that life is both delicate and resilient, echoing the quiet lessons of the frost and the gentle rhythm of the waves. The long night settles in. By the hearth, you teach the children hymns once sung by your parents. Voices rise slowly, soft and deliberate, carrying faith, courage, and memory. The fire flickers, casting warm shadows, and the wind hums gently through the eaves. Children drift into sleep mid-verse, lulled by stories, song, and warmth. The rhythm of the night, slow and steady, mirrors the lessons of endurance, patience, and love passed down through generations. A calm morning draws you and Hans along cliffs dusted with frost. Waves lap gently against rocks, gulls cry softly, and puffins dive in playful arcs. Children trail behind, learning observation and patience. Every footstep is deliberate, every glance a lesson. The cliffs, steadfast and eternal, teach endurance and humility. The rhythm of life continues quietly, unbroken, a slow meditation on survival, memory, and the quiet pulse of the island. A small messenger boat brings letters from the mainland. You read aloud by the fire, voice slow and deliberate, letting words of distant family, survival, and hope resonate. Children listen, eyes wide, absorbing courage and faith. Even across oceans, generations connect through words and memory. You pause after each sentence, letting meaning sink like snow on the cliffs. The island seems to breathe along with the letters, quiet and enduring, carrying messages of hope across time and distance. The cold air sharpens your breath as you and Hans take the children into nearby woods for firewood. Each branch picked and carried is a lesson in careful observation and strength. Snow crunches beneath boots, birds call faintly from distant trees. The rhythm of walking, bending, and gathering becomes a quiet meditation. Children stumble and laugh, learning the balance between work and play. Every movement reinforces endurance, patience, and the delicate rhythm of life in Jaime. A storm rises quickly, snow swirling across cliffs and fields. You and Hans guide children safely into the turf house, closing shutters and securing nets. The wind howls, waves crash violently below, but inside, warmth prevails. You tell slow, deliberate stories, each word reinforcing courage, resilience, and faith. The children cling close, lulled by both your voice and the rhythm of the storm outside. Night becomes a meditation in safety, endurance, and quiet reflection. Morning brings quiet, a pristine blanket of snow across cliffs and rooftops. Birds cautiously return, gulls call softly, and waves lap calmly against rocks. You walk with the children, checking boats, nets, and paths. Every movement is deliberate, every glance attentive. Life continues steadily, shaped by lessons of preparation, patience, and endurance. The rhythm of the island is steady, comforting, and enduring, teaching the children both wonder and responsibility. Night falls with long shadows and a gentle hush over the village. By the fire, you tell the tale of your parents, the pirate raid, and enduring hope. The children listen, voices quiet, breaths even. Each word is deliberate, a slow cadence of memory, courage, and guidance. Outside, snow drifts softly, the wind hums gently, and the island seems to breathe along with the story. The rhythm of night and hearth offers calm, reflection, and gentle reassurance. Along cliffs, you teach the children to observe waves, birds, and wind. Every movement is deliberate, slow, a lesson in patience. Children stumble, laugh, and learn through repetition and care. The sea teaches rhythm, awareness, and endurance. Puffins dive, gulls call, and waves crash softly. Every lesson is quiet, embedding understanding that life moves slowly but consistently, guided by observation, care, and the pulse of nature. Elders from the village visit, sharing stories of past hardships, pirate raids, and survival. You sit by the fire with children close, listening slowly to their measured words. Every story, every pause, is deliberate, a lesson in endurance, faith, and patience. Outside, the wind hums over cliffs, waves lap gently, and birds call softly. Children absorb both story and rhythm, learning through voice, gesture, and the quiet weight of memory. Snow begins to melt, and signs of spring emerge. You guide children to plant seeds, check sheep, and mend nets. Each task is deliberate and slow, teaching responsibility and careful observation. The rhythm of nature resumes, waves lapping against rocks, gulls circling above, puffins returning to cliffs. Every movement teaches patience, endurance, and continuity. Life, steady and deliberate, carries lessons quietly into the next season. Evening drifts across Jaime, sunlight painting cliffs and rooftops in soft gold. You stand with Hans and children, observing the waves and listening to gulls call. Stories of pirates, survival, and family are whispered, slow and measured. The rhythm of the sea mirrors the lessons of life: patience, observation, and endurance. Children drift into quiet contemplation, absorbing both memory and calm. The island itself seems to breathe alongside them, steady and enduring. The fire burns low, embers glowing softly. You recount stories of ancestors, pirate raids, and the return of hope. Children sit close, breaths even, absorbing each word slowly. Outside, snow drifts gently, wind hums through eaves, waves lap softly. Every story is a rhythm, a slow meditation, a lesson in courage and faith. Memories become living threads, connecting past, present, and future. The island holds both stories and listeners in quiet embrace. Night falls, stars shimmering above cliffs and waves. You tuck children into blankets, whispering slow tales of endurance, courage, and love. Puffins rest, gulls quiet, and the sea whispers softly against rocks. The rhythm of the island settles, steady and eternal. Stories, prayers, and lessons resonate gently in hearts and minds. Darkness is calm, comforting, a lullaby for both island and soul. Tomorrow will come, steady and deliberate, carrying lessons, life, and hope along the cliffs and waves of Jaime. The first light of morning paints the harbor gold. You walk slowly along the docks with Hans and the children, observing fishing boats bobbing gently. Seagulls circle, calling softly, while the sea glimmers under the rising sun. Each movement is deliberate, a lesson in observation and mindfulness. The children watch, learning to notice subtle shifts in waves, wind, and tides. Life on Jaime continues at a quiet, rhythmic pace, teaching patience, endurance, and the delicate balance between nature and human activity. You guide the children into the hills to gather firewood, each step careful and measured. Snow is melting, revealing frost-speckled grass beneath. Birds call faintly from distant cliffs. Children stumble over roots and rocks but are gently corrected, learning to move with attention and care. Hans watches with quiet pride, nodding approval at their progress. Every action, lifting branches, stacking wood, checking the path, is a slow, meditative lesson in resilience and awareness, embedding the rhythm of survival into their young minds. The children follow you toward caves carved into the cliffs. The sea laps gently below, waves soft and rhythmic. Inside the cool stone, you show them how to move quietly, conserve energy, and respect the space. Shadows stretch along walls, echoing your footsteps. Each cave is a small world, teaching observation, patience, and care. Children whisper questions and laugh softly at echoes. You pause, letting them take in the stillness, teaching through silence as much as speech. The rhythm of the cave mirrors life, slow, careful, and enduring. You settle on a grassy slope overlooking the cliffs, children nestled close. Dried fish and bread are shared slowly, deliberately, each bite a reminder of sustenance and care. The sun warms your backs, the sea hums gently below, and puffins glide in and out of rocky crevices. Hans recounts small stories of past hardships, pirate raids, and family endurance, each word slow and deliberate. Children listen attentively, absorbing lessons of patience, courage, and observation. The rhythm of the day continues quietly, a meditation in motion. Back at the village, you teach children to mend fishing nets. Fingers move slowly, weaving patterns, threading lines with care. Mist rises from the sea, curling around houses and fields. Each mistake becomes a lesson, each success, a quiet triumph. Hans watches, offering soft guidance. Children learn the rhythm of work, patience, attention, and deliberate repetition. The village hums gently in the background, a chorus of everyday life reinforcing connection, endurance, and quiet resilience. The sun dips behind cliffs, casting long golden shadows. You walk with the children along familiar paths, listening to the soft cries of gulls and the distant crash of waves. Hans points out nests, tracks in the soil, and the delicate architecture of cliffside flora. Children move slowly, learning the rhythm of observation. Every glance and step carries lessons in patience, endurance, and respect for nature. The fading light bathes the island in a serene glow, calming hearts and minds alike. Night settles over Jaime. You gather children by the hearth, recounting stories of survival, endurance, and hope. Voice slow, deliberate, each sentence resonates in the quiet room. Outside, wind hums softly through eaves, waves lap gently, and snow drifts from higher cliffs. Children sit close, absorbing lessons of courage and patience. The fire flickers in rhythm with your storytelling, embedding warmth, calm, and reflection. The night becomes a gentle meditation on life, memory, and continuity. You walk with the children across cliffs and meadows, observing subtle changes in plants, birds, and sea patterns. Every observation is a quiet lesson in patience, endurance, and awareness. Birds call softly, puffins wheel overhead, and waves crash rhythmically against rocks. Children note each detail, asking questions slowly, and you answer deliberately. The rhythm of the island teaches that life moves steadily, and survival depends on observation, care, and mindfulness. Inside the turf house, you teach children to prepare simple meals, drying fish, baking bread, and preserving herbs. Movements are deliberate and slow. The fire crackles gently, shadows stretching across walls. Every small task is a lesson in patience and endurance. Children learn that care, repetition, and attention bring sustenance. Outside, the sea whispers against the cliffs, gulls cry softly, and the village hums quietly. The rhythm of food preparation mirrors the rhythm of life, steady, deliberate, and nurturing. Late afternoon, you sit with children on cliffs, eyes following distant waves. The sun glows warm on water, gulls wheel overhead, and puffins dive into crevices. Hans reminds children to notice subtle changes, wind, tide, and color shifts. Observation is slow, deliberate, teaching patience and attention. Every movement of sea and sky becomes a lesson in rhythm, endurance, and mindfulness. Children absorb both the beauty and subtle lessons, hearts steady in quiet reflection. Night falls, and the turf house glows softly with candlelight. You recount tales of past hardships, pirate raids, and acts of courage. Voice measured, deliberate, each word carries weight and warmth. Children sit close, eyes wide, absorbing every lesson. Outside, wind hums through eaves, snow drifts gently, and waves crash quietly below cliffs. The rhythm of fire and voice creates a cocoon of calm, embedding patience, endurance, and hope into hearts and minds alike. Morning arrives, mist curling along docks. You and Hans guide children to explore safely, noting nets, boats, and tides. Each movement is deliberate, teaching careful observation. Birds cry softly, waves lap gently, and puffins dart between rocks. Children notice small details, learning the rhythm of work and life. The harbor, quiet and steady, mirrors lessons of endurance, patience, and the gentle pulse of the island. Every observation is a slow meditation on life and care. Winter returns, frosting fields and cliffs with a sparkling sheen. Children run, laughing, while you guide them slowly, ensuring safety on slippery paths. Hans shows signs of hidden ice and fragile vegetation. Every step teaches observation, care, and patience. The rhythm of movement over frosted ground is slow and deliberate, a quiet meditation in resilience. Birds call softly, waves crash below, and the island breathes in tandem with their footsteps. By the hearth, you recount stories of ancestors, survival, and enduring hope. Voice slow, measured, each sentence lingers. Children sit close, absorbing lessons of courage and patience. Shadows dance along walls, fire crackles gently, and the night hums softly outside. Stories and warmth intertwine, forming a rhythm of calm, reflection, and quiet resilience. The children drift toward sleep, lulled by voice, fire, and the pulse of Jaime. The first snow of winter falls lightly. You walk along cliffs with children, each step careful, deliberate. Gulls call softly, waves lap gently, and puffins peek from rocky crevices. Every movement teaches observation and endurance. The cold air sharpens senses, and children notice subtle patterns in snow and wind. Each quiet step becomes a meditation, embedding patience, care, and mindfulness into their rhythm of life. Inside the turf house, children learn chores, weaving wool, mending nets, and checking preserved food. Movements are slow and careful. Outside, snow drifts gently, and waves hum softly against cliffs. Each action teaches patience, endurance, and quiet observation. Hans supervises, guiding with measured words. Every chore becomes a rhythm, a meditation, and a lesson in responsibility and connection to the island and its enduring ways. Late afternoon, you sit on cliffs with children, watching waves and gulls. Puffins glide above, wind rustles grass, and sunlight glimmers on water. You speak slowly, pointing out currents, tide patterns, and bird behavior. Observation is deliberate, teaching patience and awareness. Children absorb lessons in rhythm, resilience, and mindfulness. The sea becomes both teacher and companion, its pulse steady, guiding each movement and thought with quiet care. Night descends gently. By the hearth, you teach children hymns, voice soft and deliberate. The rhythm of song mirrors the rhythm of the island, steady, enduring, and calm. Shadows flicker on walls, wind hums through eaves, and waves lap quietly against cliffs. Children drift toward sleep, lulled by voice, song, and warmth. Stories of survival, courage, and love mingle with melody, embedding calm, faith, and quiet reflection into hearts and minds. Dawn spreads gold across cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing birds, plants, and waves. Each movement is deliberate, every glance a lesson. Children notice subtle shifts in light, wind, and tide. The rhythm of observation teaches patience, endurance, and mindfulness. Puffins dive, gulls call, and waves lap gently. The island pulses steadily beneath their feet, embedding lessons in quiet reflection and enduring connection to both nature and family. Night falls fully over Jaime. By the hearth, you recount tales of pirate raids, endurance, and family courage. Voice slow, deliberate, each word resonates. Shadows stretch along walls, fire crackles gently, and wind hums softly outside. Children sit close, absorbing lessons of patience, observation, and hope. The rhythm of storytelling, fire, and night creates calm, reflection, and connection. Sleep arrives slowly, the island holding hearts gently in its quiet embrace. A soft mist curls over the cliffs and fields of Jaime. You walk slowly with the children, their small hands tucked into yours for warmth. The sea shimmers faintly through the fog, gulls calling softly in the distance. Every step is deliberate, teaching patience and observation. Hans points out faint footprints in the dew, explaining how animals navigate the cliffs. Children watch closely, learning to notice subtle patterns in nature. The island's rhythm moves quietly, teaching endurance, mindfulness, and steady courage. Today, you guide the children to the cliffside for egg collection. The ropes are secure, each handhold tested carefully. Puffins dive gracefully, parents guarding nests while you collect only what's needed. Children are slow and deliberate, learning the balance between caution and necessity. Waves crash softly below, wind whispers over rocks, and the rhythm of movement reinforces patience, awareness, and resilience. Every careful action becomes a lesson in survival, quiet focus, and connection to nature. Returning to the village, you help the children with chores, stacking firewood, checking nets, and feeding sheep. Every motion is slow, deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. The village hums quietly, smoke rising from chimneys, gulls circling above. Adults nod greetings. Children absorb small lessons in rhythm and cooperation. Every task becomes a meditation in movement and awareness. Even mundane work teaches resilience, endurance, and connection to the steady pulse of Jaime. You lead the children to a hidden cove, tucked between cliffs. Waves lap gently against rocks, puffins dive between crevices, and wind hums softly. Children explore carefully, learning to respect the fragile ecosystem. Every step is deliberate, teaching awareness and mindfulness. The cove's rhythm mirrors life, steady, calm, and enduring. You pause with the children, letting them take in the stillness, the whisper of the sea, and the lesson that patience and observation reveal the quiet treasures of the island. Night settles over Jaime, long shadows stretching across the turf house. By the hearth, you recount stories of endurance, family courage, and past hardships. Your voice is slow, deliberate, every word echoing in the children's minds. Outside, the wind hums softly, snow drifts lightly, and waves lap against the cliffs. Children sit close, absorbing lessons of patience, resilience, and faith. The rhythm of storytelling, fire, and night becomes a gentle meditation, embedding calm and reflection into hearts and minds alike. You guide the children in food preparation, drying fish, baking bread, and preserving herbs. Movements are slow and careful, teaching patience and responsibility. Smoke rises softly from the hearth, shadows flicker on walls, and the children learn through observation and repetition. Every task is deliberate, teaching resilience, endurance, and the rhythm of daily survival. Outside, gulls call, waves lap gently, and puffins dive between cliffs. The island's pulse aligns with each careful movement, teaching calmness and mindfulness. Afternoon's sun glows over cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with the children, observing waves, gulls, and puffins. Hans points out nesting sites, subtle changes in tide, and weather patterns. Every step is deliberate, each glance measured. Children absorb lessons in observation, patience, and endurance. The cliff's timeless presence teaches resilience, quiet reflection, and steady mindfulness. Every moment is a meditation on life's rhythm, teaching the children the delicate balance between nature and survival. Night falls gently, long shadows stretching across Jaime. By the hearth, you recount stories of past pirate raids, survival, and enduring hope. Voice slow, measured, every word carries weight and warmth. Children sit close, listening attentively, absorbing lessons in courage and patience. Outside, snow drifts lightly, wind hums softly, and waves lap quietly. The rhythm of storytelling, fire, and night becomes a gentle meditation, embedding calm, reflection, and quiet endurance in young hearts. Morning arrives, the sea glittering under a pale sun. You sit on cliffs with children, watching waves, gulls, and puffins. Each observation is slow and deliberate, teaching patience and mindfulness. Hans points out small currents and tides, subtle changes in the wind. Children note details carefully, learning the rhythm of nature and the importance of steady attention. Every wave, every cry of a bird reinforces lessons of endurance, observation, and connection to the island's quiet pulse. Snow covers fields and cliffs lightly. You guide children in preparing for winter, stacking firewood, checking preserved food, and securing nets. Every movement is deliberate, slow, reinforcing patience, resilience, and awareness. The children learn that preparation is both survival and meditation, a rhythm that carries them safely through the season. Outside, gulls call faintly, waves lap softly, and puffins dive between rocks. The island's steady pulse teaches endurance, mindfulness, and quiet connection to life. Evening settles, long shadows stretching across the turf house. By the fire, children learn chores, mending nets, weaving wool, and organizing supplies. Movements are slow, deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. Smoke curls from the hearth, shadows flicker on walls, and every small task becomes a meditation in rhythm, endurance, and observation. Outside, the sea hums gently, gulls cry softly, and puffins dive. Each lesson strengthens connection to the island and the enduring rhythm of daily life. Late afternoon, you sit with children on cliffs, observing distant waves, gulls, and puffins. Every glance is deliberate, every step careful. Hans explains subtle patterns, tide changes, bird behavior, and wind shifts. Children absorb lessons in patience, mindfulness, and endurance. The sea moves in steady rhythm, echoing the pulse of the island and the quiet lessons of survival. Every wave, bird call, and whisper of wind becomes a meditation in observation and connection. Night falls, the turf house glowing softly from the hearth. You teach children hymns, voice slow and deliberate, each note carrying warmth and patience. Shadows flicker on walls, wind hums gently outside, and waves lap softly against cliffs. Children drift into calm reflection, absorbing lessons of courage, endurance, and quiet faith. The rhythm of song, fire, and night becomes a meditation, embedding hope, mindfulness, and the steady pulse of life on Jaime into their hearts. A fresh snowfall blankets cliffs and fields. You walk with children, slow and careful, teaching observation and patience. Every footstep is deliberate, each glance attentive. Hans points out subtle patterns in snow, wind, and tracks. Children learn the rhythm of movement, endurance, and mindfulness. Puffins peek from rocks, gulls call softly, and waves crash gently below. Each moment becomes a meditation, reinforcing resilience, connection to nature, and the steady pulse of the island. Night settles softly. By the hearth, you recount stories of past hardships, pirate raids, and family courage. Voice slow and deliberate, each word resonates. Shadows stretch along walls, fire crackles softly, and wind hums outside. Children sit close, absorbing lessons in patience, resilience, and observation. The rhythm of storytelling and fire creates a gentle meditation, embedding calm, reflection, and quiet endurance in young hearts. Dawn spreads gold over cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing birds, waves, and wind patterns. Every step is careful, every glance deliberate. Children notice subtle shifts in nature, learning patience, endurance, and mindfulness. Puffins glide overhead, gulls cry softly, and waves lap rhythmically. The island teaches steady observation and quiet reflection. Every movement becomes a meditation in connection to nature, life, and survival. Inside the turf house, children learn chores, weaving wool, mending nets, and checking food stores. Movements are slow and deliberate. Shadows flicker, the fire crackles softly, and every task becomes a meditation in rhythm, endurance, and awareness. Hans supervises, guiding with measured words. Outside, snow drifts lightly, gulls call softly, and waves lap below cliffs. Each lesson strengthens patience, resilience, and the steady pulse of life on Jaime. Afternoon sun glows over cliffs and fields. You guide children to watch puffins, gulls, and tides. Every movement is deliberate, every glance attentive. Hans points out patterns in bird behavior and wave currents. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The rhythm of nature teaches resilience, mindfulness, and connection. Waves lap rhythmically, birds call softly, and the island pulses quietly. Each moment becomes a meditation, reinforcing lessons of life and survival. Night falls, long shadows stretching across Jaime. By the hearth, you recount stories of endurance, family courage, and pirate raids. Voice slow, deliberate, each word carries warmth and meaning. Children sit close, absorbing lessons in patience, observation, and quiet faith. Outside, wind hums softly, waves lap rhythmically, and snow drifts lightly. The rhythm of storytelling and fire becomes a meditation, embedding calm, resilience, and hope in young hearts. The night settles fully over Jaime. You tuck children into warm blankets, whispering stories of survival, courage, and family. Voice slow, deliberate, every word echoes in the quiet room. Outside, waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and snow drifts gently across cliffs. The rhythm of night, hearth, and storytelling becomes a gentle meditation, embedding patience, mindfulness, and hope into hearts. Children drift into sleep, the island holding them gently in its steady embrace. A gentle silence blankets Jaime as dawn breaks. You lead the children along the cliffs, footsteps soft on dew-kissed grass. The sea glimmers faintly, gulls calling softly in the distance. Every movement is slow and deliberate, each glance a lesson in patience and observation. Hans points out subtle signs of nesting puffins, tiny footprints, and shifts in the tide. Children watch intently, absorbing lessons in awareness and endurance. The misty morning hums quietly, teaching calm reflection and the steady rhythm of life on the island. The tide has left small pieces of driftwood along the shore. You and the children gather it slowly, careful not to disturb nests or fragile plants. Each step and motion is deliberate, teaching patience and mindfulness. Hans shows how to distinguish wood suitable for fire from sea debris. Waves lap gently, gulls call softly, and the rhythm of the task mirrors the rhythm of life. Children learn that slow, careful work ensures survival, teaching endurance and quiet reflection through every small, deliberate action. You settle on a grassy slope overlooking cliffs and sea. Children sit quietly, nibbling dried fish and bread. Waves crash softly below, puffins glide between rocks, and gulls circle overhead. You encourage the children to notice patterns in waves, wind, and light, teaching observation and patience. The sun warms your backs, and Hans recounts short stories of resilience and family courage. Every moment becomes a meditation on life's rhythm, embedding endurance, mindfulness, and connection to nature in their hearts. Back in the village, you sit by the shore with children, mending fishing nets. Fingers move slowly, threading lines with care. Mist curls over the docks, and waves lap softly. Every knot and repair is a lesson in patience, precision, and endurance. Children watch closely, learning that careful work brings both sustenance and calm. The steady rhythm of fingers weaving through rope mirrors the rhythm of life on Jaime, teaching mindfulness, quiet resilience, and connection to the enduring pulse of the island. You guide the children toward a hidden cave along the cliffs. Waves crash softly below, and wind hums gently. Inside, shadows stretch along walls, and the air smells faintly of sea and stone. Children move slowly, learning to respect the space and observe carefully. Every rock, crevice, and echo teaches mindfulness and patience. The rhythm of the cave mirrors life, deliberate, quiet, and steady. Children learn that safety and survival depend on observation, care, and calm endurance. The sun dips behind cliffs, casting long golden shadows over the harbor. You walk slowly with children, observing boats, nets, and distant gulls. Every movement is deliberate, each glance measured. Hans points out subtle details in boat rigging and tidal patterns. Children absorb lessons in observation, patience, and resilience. The harbor's quiet rhythm mirrors life's steady pulse, teaching endurance, mindfulness, and the careful attention needed to navigate both sea and land safely. Night settles over Jaime. By the hearth, you recount stories of pirate raids, survival, and family courage. Your voice is slow, deliberate, each word carrying warmth and meaning. Outside, wind hums softly, waves lap gently, and snow drifts lightly across cliffs. Children sit close, absorbing lessons of patience, endurance, and observation. The rhythm of storytelling, fire, and night becomes a gentle meditation, embedding calm, reflection, and quiet resilience in young hearts. Morning arrives, waves glimmering under pale sunlight. You sit with children on cliffs, watching gulls and puffins. Hans points out subtle currents, shifts in tide, and wind patterns. Children learn to observe carefully, each glance deliberate, each step slow. The sea's rhythm becomes a teacher, instilling patience, mindfulness, and endurance. Waves crash softly, gulls call faintly, and the pulse of Jaime hums quietly. Every moment is a meditation on the steady balance of life and survival. The cold season approaches. You and the children stack firewood, check preserved food, and organize nets. Each task is slow, deliberate, and careful. Hans guides with gentle, measured words. Children learn the rhythm of preparation, understanding that deliberate, patient work ensures survival and comfort. Outside, waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and snow drifts lightly. The rhythm of chores mirrors the rhythm of life, embedding resilience, patience, and quiet endurance into the children's daily routine. Night falls, shadows stretching across the turf house. By the hearth, you guide the children in chores, mending nets, and organizing supplies. Movements are slow, deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. The fire crackles softly, shadows flicker, and the rhythm of the work becomes a meditation. Children absorb lessons in mindfulness, endurance, and connection to the island. Outside, waves lap gently, gulls call softly, and puffins dive between cliffs, their rhythm echoing the quiet pulse of life on Jaime. Dawn spreads gold over cliffs and fields. You and the children walk slowly, observing gulls, puffins, and wave patterns. Every step is deliberate, every glance measured. Hans points out subtle changes in light, tide, and wind. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The rhythm of nature teaches resilience, mindfulness, and connection. Waves lap rhythmically, gulls call softly, and puffins dive between rocks. Every moment becomes a meditation, reinforcing the quiet lessons of life and survival on Jaime. Today, you guide the children to gather eggs from cliffside nests. Ropes are secure, each handhold tested. Puffins dive gracefully, parents guarding nests while you collect only what's needed. Children move slowly, learning balance between caution and necessity. Waves crash softly below, wind whispers over rocks, and every careful action teaches patience, observation, and resilience. The rhythm of this delicate work mirrors the rhythm of life, embedding endurance and mindfulness into young hearts. Returning to the village, you help the children stack firewood, check nets, and feed sheep. Every movement is slow and deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. The village hums quietly, smoke curling from chimneys, gulls calling softly. Children learn the rhythm of everyday life, understanding that careful, steady work ensures survival. Every small task becomes a meditation in endurance, mindfulness, and connection to the steady pulse of Jaime. You guide children to a familiar cove along the cliffs. Waves lap gently, wind hums softly, and puffins dive gracefully between rocks. Children move slowly, observing every detail, rock formations, nests, and patterns in the waves. Every glance and step teaches patience, mindfulness, and endurance. The rhythm of the cove mirrors life, steady, deliberate, and enduring. Children learn that careful observation and quiet attention reveal hidden lessons in the world around them. The sun dips behind cliffs, casting long golden shadows. You walk slowly with children, observing waves, gulls, and boats. Every movement is deliberate, each glance measured. Hans points out subtle details in tides, bird behavior, and cliffs. Children absorb lessons in observation, patience, and resilience. The rhythm of the setting sun mirrors the rhythm of life, teaching endurance, mindfulness, and the quiet balance between work, survival, and reflection. Night settles over Jaime, long shadows stretching across the turf house. You guide children in hymns by the fire. Voice slow, deliberate, each note carrying warmth, patience, and calm. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and wind hums outside. Children drift into reflection, absorbing lessons of courage, endurance, and quiet faith. The rhythm of song and fire becomes meditation, embedding hope and mindfulness into their hearts. Fresh snow blankets cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, noting footprints, wind patterns, and bird activity. Every step is careful, every glance deliberate. Hans explains how snow reveals hidden paths and patterns in nature. Children learn patience, mindfulness, and observation. Waves crash softly below, gulls call faintly, and puffins peek from rocky crevices. Every movement becomes a meditation, reinforcing resilience and connection to the steady rhythm of Jaime. Evening falls, long shadows stretching across the turf house. By the hearth, children practice chores, weaving wool, mending nets, and organizing supplies. Movements are slow and deliberate, teaching patience, responsibility, and endurance. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and the rhythm of tasks becomes meditation. Outside, waves lap gently, gulls call softly, and puffins dive between cliffs. Every action reinforces lessons in mindfulness, care, and connection to the island's steady pulse. Late afternoon, you sit with children on cliffs, watching waves, gulls, and puffins. Every glance is deliberate, each step measured. Hans points out subtle details in tides, wind, and bird behavior. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The sea's rhythm mirrors the pulse of Jaime, teaching calm, mindfulness, and resilience. Every wave, every bird call, and every whisper of wind becomes a meditation in connection to life and survival. Night falls fully. You tuck children into warm blankets by the hearth, whispering stories of survival, family courage, and pirate raids. Voice slow, deliberate, each word resonates in the quiet room. Outside, waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and snow drifts lightly across cliffs. The rhythm of night, fire, and storytelling becomes a gentle meditation, embedding patience, endurance, and hope in young hearts. Children drift into sleep, held gently in the island's steady embrace. A gentle fog drifts across Jaime, softening cliffs and fields. You guide the children along familiar paths, footsteps careful and measured. Waves lap quietly below, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide between rocks. Hans points out subtle signs of nesting, hidden tracks, and tide patterns. Children move slowly, observing with care. Every moment becomes a lesson in patience and mindfulness. The rhythm of nature mirrors life, deliberate, enduring, and resilient. Each breath of salty air reminds you all of the quiet strength required to survive on this island. Along the shore, you and the children gather driftwood for the hearth. Every movement is slow, careful, deliberate. Small pieces are stacked neatly, teaching order and patience. Waves crash softly, gulls circle overhead, and the wind hums gently. Children observe carefully, noting how wood floats, weathers, and changes with the tide. The rhythm of collection mirrors the rhythm of life, slow, mindful, and purposeful. Each careful action reinforces endurance, mindfulness, and the delicate connection between people and the island's resources. You rest on a grassy cliff, children nestled beside you. The sea glimmers in soft sunlight, waves lapping gently against rocks. Hans tells short stories of resilience, courage, and past hardships, voice slow and deliberate. Children listen attentively, absorbing lessons in patience and observation. Every gust of wind, every cry of gulls, every wave's rhythm reinforces endurance and mindfulness. The quiet of the island teaches reflection, calm, and the gentle pulse of life that persists even after hardship. By the shore, children sit beside you, mending nets. Fingers move slowly, threading lines carefully. Waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and mist curls around cliffs. Every knot and repair becomes a lesson in precision, patience, and endurance. Children observe closely, learning that careful, deliberate work sustains life and teaches mindfulness. The rhythm of hands weaving through rope mirrors the steady rhythm of the island itself, embedding calm, resilience, and quiet observation into young hearts. You lead children to a small, hidden cove. Waves lap softly, wind hums through rocky crevices. Inside the cave, shadows stretch long across walls, and the air smells of sea and stone. Children move deliberately, learning to respect the space and observe carefully. Every rock, every echo, every faint puffin cry becomes a meditation in patience, observation, and endurance. The cove's quiet rhythm mirrors life itself, steady, deliberate, enduring. Children learn that survival depends on care, calm, and awareness. The sun dips behind the cliffs, casting long golden shadows. You walk slowly with children along the edge, observing gulls, puffins, and waves below. Each movement is deliberate, every glance careful. Hans points out subtle shifts in tide and wind, and children absorb lessons in mindfulness, patience, and endurance. The cliff's timeless presence reminds all of the steady pulse of life. Each moment is a meditation on careful observation, reflection, and the quiet beauty of surviving in harmony with nature. Night falls. By the hearth, children sit close as you recount stories of family courage and endurance. Voice slow, deliberate, each word carries warmth and reflection. Shadows flicker on walls, wind hums softly outside, and waves lap gently. Children listen, absorbing lessons in patience, mindfulness, and quiet resilience. The rhythm of fire, story, and night becomes a gentle meditation. Every crackle and shadow reinforces the calm strength that life on Jaime demands. Morning spreads light over cliffs and waves. You sit with children, observing gulls, puffins, and the rhythmic rise and fall of tides. Every glance is deliberate, each step measured. Hans points out subtle patterns, teaching observation, patience, and endurance. Children learn that careful attention reveals hidden truths. Waves crash softly, birds call faintly, and the pulse of the island hums quietly. Each observation teaches mindfulness, resilience, and connection to the steady rhythm of life. Snow lightly blankets cliffs and fields. You guide children in stacking firewood, checking preserved food, and organizing nets. Each task is deliberate and slow, teaching patience and resilience. Children learn that preparation is both survival and meditation, a rhythm that sustains life through winter. Waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide between rocks. Every careful action embeds endurance, mindfulness, and connection to the island's pulse. Life is steady, deliberate, and full of small victories. Evening settles. By the hearth, children practice chores, weaving wool, mending nets, and organizing supplies. Every motion is slow, deliberate, and careful. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and wind hums outside. Each task becomes a meditation in patience, endurance, and mindfulness. Children absorb lessons in responsibility and the steady rhythm of life on Jaime. Outside, waves lap gently, gulls call softly, and puffins dive between cliffs. Every action is an opportunity to teach calm resilience and connection to nature. Dawn spreads gold over cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing gulls, puffins, and waves. Each glance and step is deliberate. Hans points out subtle patterns, changes in tide, flight paths of birds, and wind shifts. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. Waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide gracefully. The rhythm of the island mirrors life, steady, deliberate, and enduring. Every step teaches mindfulness, connection, and the quiet strength needed to survive. You guide children along the cliffs for egg collection. Ropes are secure, each handhold tested carefully. Puffins dive gracefully, guarding nests while you collect only what's needed. Children move slowly, learning balance, caution, and patience. Waves crash softly below, wind whispers over rocks, and every careful action teaches observation, endurance, and mindfulness. The rhythm of gathering mirrors life itself, embedding calm, resilience, and connection to nature. Returning to the village, children help stack firewood, feed sheep, and check nets. Movements are slow and deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. Smoke curls from chimneys, gulls call faintly, and waves lap softly. Children learn that careful, steady work sustains life. Every task becomes meditation in endurance, mindfulness, and observation. The rhythm of chores mirrors the rhythm of life on Jaime, embedding resilience and quiet reflection in young hearts. You guide children to a quiet cove tucked between cliffs. Waves lap softly, wind hums gently, and puffins dive between rocks. Children explore slowly, observing every detail: rocks, tide pools, and bird nests. Each glance teaches mindfulness, patience, and endurance. The cove mirrors life: steady, quiet, and deliberate. Children learn that observation and calm attention reveal subtle treasures and lessons in resilience, survival, and quiet reflection. The sun dips behind cliffs, painting the sky golden. You walk slowly with children, observing waves, gulls, and puffins. Every step is deliberate, every glance careful. Hans points out changes in tide and wind. Children absorb lessons in patience, mindfulness, and endurance. The cliff's quiet rhythm mirrors life's steady pulse. Each moment is a meditation in observation, reflection, and gentle connection to the world around them. Night falls over Jaime. By the hearth, you teach children hymns, voice slow and deliberate. Each note carries calm, warmth, and patience. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and waves lap gently outside. Children drift into quiet reflection, absorbing lessons of endurance, courage, and mindfulness. The rhythm of song and fire becomes a meditation, embedding hope and resilience in young hearts, a rhythm that will carry them through the cold months ahead. A gentle snowfall covers cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing footprints, wind patterns, and bird activity. Every step is careful, each glance deliberate. Hans points out how snow reveals hidden paths and subtle patterns. Children learn patience, mindfulness, and observation. Waves crash softly, gulls call faintly, and puffins peek from rocks. Every movement becomes meditation, teaching quiet endurance and connection to the steady pulse of Jaime. Evening settles. By the hearth, children practice chores and hear stories of family courage and survival. Movements are slow, deliberate, and mindful. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and wind hums outside. Children absorb lessons in patience, endurance, and reflection. Each task becomes meditation. Outside, waves lap gently, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide between cliffs. The rhythm of chores, story, and fire teaches calm, resilience, and connection to the island's pulse. Late afternoon, you sit with children on cliffs, observing waves, gulls, and puffins. Every glance is deliberate, each step careful. Hans points out subtle details in tides and wind patterns. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The sea's rhythm mirrors the pulse of Jaime, teaching mindfulness, calm, and connection. Every wave, every bird call, every whisper of wind becomes a meditation in quiet strength, reflection, and steady attention to life. Night settles over Jaime. Children are tucked into warm blankets by the hearth. You whisper stories of survival, family courage, and pirate raids. Voice slow, deliberate, each word echoes in the quiet room. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and waves lap gently outside. Children drift into sleep, calm and comforted. The rhythm of night, fire, and storytelling embeds patience, endurance, and hope in their hearts. The island holds them gently, a steady pulse beneath the quiet of Jaime. Morning light spills over cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing gulls, puffins, and waves. Every glance is deliberate, every step careful. Hans points out changes in tide and wind. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The island's quiet rhythm teaches mindfulness and resilience. Waves lap softly, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide gracefully. Every moment becomes meditation, reinforcing careful attention and steady endurance in young hearts. You lead children to cliffside nests. Ropes secure, handholds tested carefully. Puffins guard nests, and children move deliberately, learning balance and patience. Waves crash softly below, wind whispers across rocks, and every careful action teaches observation, endurance, and mindfulness. The rhythm of gathering mirrors life, deliberate, steady, and enduring. Every egg collected reinforces lessons in care, calm, and quiet strength. Returning to the village, children help stack firewood, feed sheep, and check nets. Every movement is slow and deliberate, reinforcing patience and responsibility. Smoke curls from chimneys, gulls call faintly, and waves lap softly. Children learn that careful work sustains life. Each task is meditation in endurance, mindfulness, and observation. The rhythm of chores mirrors life on Jaime, embedding resilience and quiet reflection in young hearts. You guide children to a familiar cove. Waves lap softly, wind hums gently, and puffins dive between rocks. Children explore slowly, observing every detail: rocks, tide pools, and bird nests. Each glance teaches mindfulness, patience, and endurance. The cove mirrors life, steady, deliberate, and enduring. Observation and calm attention reveal subtle treasures and lessons in resilience and quiet survival. The sun dips behind cliffs, casting golden shadows. You walk slowly with children, observing waves, gulls, and puffins. Each step is deliberate, every glance careful. Hans points out tidal changes and bird behavior. Children absorb lessons in patience, mindfulness, and endurance. The cliff's quiet rhythm mirrors life's steady pulse. Every moment is meditation in observation, reflection, and gentle connection to the world. Night falls over Jaime. By the hearth, you teach children hymns, voice slow and deliberate. Each note carries calm, warmth, and patience. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and waves lap gently outside. Children drift into reflection, absorbing lessons of endurance, courage, and mindfulness. Song and fire become meditation, embedding hope and resilience in young hearts. A gentle snowfall covers cliffs and fields. You walk slowly with children, observing footprints, wind, and bird activity. Every step is deliberate, each glance measured. Hans points out how snow reveals hidden paths and patterns. Children learn patience, mindfulness, and observation. Waves crash softly, gulls call faintly, and puffins peek from rocks. Every movement becomes meditation in endurance and quiet connection to Jaime. Evening settles. By the hearth, children practice chores and hear stories of courage and survival. Movements slow, deliberate, and mindful. Shadows flicker, fire crackles softly, and wind hums outside. Lessons in patience, endurance, and reflection sink in. Chores and story become meditation. Waves lap gently, gulls call faintly, and puffins glide between cliffs. The rhythm of fire, story, and work teaches calm, resilience, and connection to the island. Late afternoon, you sit with children on cliffs, observing waves, gulls, and puffins. Every glance is deliberate, each step careful. Hans points out subtle tide and wind details. Children learn observation, patience, and endurance. The sea's rhythm mirrors Jaime's pulse, teaching mindfulness, calm, and connection. Every wave, bird call, and whisper of wind is meditation in quiet strength, reflection, and steady attention. Night descends softly over Jaime. Children lie tucked in blankets by the hearth, safe and calm. You whisper the final story of courage, family, and survival. Your voice is slow and deliberate, each word carrying warmth and reassurance. Shadows dance, fire crackles, and waves lap softly outside. The children drift into deep sleep, comforted by lessons learned: patience, endurance, observation, and hope. The island holds them gently, the pulse of Jaime steady beneath the quiet. Tomorrow will bring work, learning, and life, but for now there is peace. The story ends here, in the calm, enduring embrace of family, nature, and resilience.